What's going on, fellow A-plusers? Welcome to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news. Streaming live for you guys today. Happy Mother's Day as we got ourselves a brand new episode. 6 incredible topics we're going to get into. We got some incredible first looks at not only James Gunn's Superman, but also a brand new Batman animated series. We're going to keep you up to date in regards to Marvel Studios and their brand new strategy, along with some fantastic casting news for Fantastic Four. So guys, let's dive in and we'll see you on the other side. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, streaming live for you guys over on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on Twitch and even Twitter as well. We've definitely put our cast out there, and hopefully you guys are certainly watching us wherever you're at. It is, in fact, a Sunday morning here, 11 a.m. Central Time in good old Texas. Poor Stuart over there had to wake up at 9 a.m. for today's show. But it's good to see you, Stuart. I appreciate it. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that might be watching us live also. What's going on, man? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good. Running on 3 hours of sleep. Because like I was mentioning to you before the show, I rediscovered my love of Baldur's Gate 3, and that definitely kept me up last night. Very fun game. Huh?
How old are you, Stuart?
I am 29 years old currently.
See, if I was that young, I'd probably be doing that too. 40 years old with a kid. I'm just like, is it bedtime yet? That's my mentality these days. But it's funny. I do find myself still trying to be a night owl. My girlfriend looks at me like I'm crazy, but there are just some nights like I cannot go to bed until like 1 or 2 o'clock. Like I feel like my brain really needs some time to kind of shut down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially like when you work like for me, like when I work a late night shift, I can't go to bed after work because if I do, my brain's going to keep me up, and I'm going to be thinking about work, and worst of all, I'm probably going to dream about work. So it's like I always need like an hour to unwind, just completely take my mind off of work, whether it's through like reading a book, watching TV, or playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, there's a part of me sometimes that it'll be like 2, 3 o'clock, 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'm just trying to figure out like what can I watch next. Like I just feel like there's so much I got to catch up to that I'm just like I got to keep going, man. I got to keep going. So yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody out there. I do want to give a shout out to my girlfriend who's been a fantastic mother to my son. Thank you for everything that you do for the both of us. Honestly, she certainly does a lot of heavy lifting around here for sure. And special shout out to my mom too, for raising me hopefully the right way and doing things as best as I possibly can, but just leaving lasting memories and fantastic moments in my life and just very impactful. And I think who we all turn out to be in our lives. Would you agree, Stuart?
Oh, very much so.
So yeah, shout out to all the moms out there who do some of the heavy lifting for sure. We got 2 people watching us live today. So thank you guys for certainly coming through. It might be pretty early for a lot of people these days, but we do got good old Ramjam in the house. So thank you for showing up, Ramjam. Really appreciate that, man. I think you might have submitted your live viewer question, so we'll definitely go ahead and check that out later on today. We have our show times have been definitely varying. Sometimes today I only went live at 11 because of the fact that it is Mother's Day, and I figure some people probably are going to be out and about doing things with their family. So I wanted to try and get this episode out of the way before the family activities begin. Do you guys have any plans or anything like that, Stuart?
No, I'm going to be celebrating. It'll be like both celebrating my mother's birthday and my brother's birthday tomorrow at the same time because
Nice.
they're pretty close. Like I think my brother's birthday was on Friday, and then of course today's Mother's Day. So tomorrow we'll have a dinner that celebrates both.
Nice. I love it. Just combining the two. That definitely works out, man.
Yeah.
We'll see what we do. It's kind of overcast and cloudy here. It might actually end up raining on and off today. So if anything, our plans may end up changing, maybe going out to grab something to eat somewhere. But I know every place is going to be pretty packed right now. I don't know. I'm in the mood for some sushi, but we'll see what the ladies are certainly excited for today.
So something really funny because you brought up weather. So something I did not think would ever happen in my lifetime. So there's currently like a weird God, I
Yeah.
hope I don't make myself sound really stupid from trying to describe something that I don't know anything about. But there's a solar storm, I guess, going on with the sun, and because of that, the northern lights are actually visible in the Bay Area.
Wow.
I couldn't see them last night. Unfortunately, that's where the weather comes in because it was so foggy. But I have seen like some photos like from the day before, which was pretty clear. Which unfortunately I didn't know about it then, so I didn't get to see it. But yeah, it is still kind of regardless, just like kind of cool knowing that there's the lights right outside, our own house, like when it's nighttime.
It's funny because I did have some of my friends that live on the West Coast, from Washington, Oregon, and the Bay Area, like you mentioned. And I saw a ton of photos, man, and it looks incredible. Like I'm so jealous. It's one of those things where like while I got to experience the eclipse the other month and some people didn't, now I'm super jealous that they get the opportunity to experience that because it looks absolutely gorgeous, man. It somebody on Power Rangers Twitter was like the Cosmic Fury Rangers are about to come through the portal or some shit like that. But it looked incredible, man. So look, if you are on the West Coast, if you had the opportunity to see the Northern Lights, please let us know. Share some photos, man. I definitely would love to see what kind of images you guys wind up getting. I was wondering where it was showing itself at. I didn't know it was on the West Coast though.
Yeah. I guess it's God's way of being like, sorry, we only gave you a tiny bit of the eclipse. Here's something really cool.
Yeah, man. I wonder how often something like that happens. Is it just because we've been having solar storms?
That I have no idea about. That like this is all completely new information to me.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely have to check it out and learn a little bit more about it. Shout out to Blossom for certainly coming through. What's up, Blossom? She says, "Hey, Stuart. Hi, hey, Adam. Hi, Stuart. Tian Kai. That means what's up. What's up to you
Ah,
too? What's up to you too? Appreciate you teaching us a little bit of a different language here today. We appreciate that." We got a couple people watching us live, 4 people watching us live today over on YouTube. Hit that like button, man. It definitely goes a long way to support the channel. Feel free to share these videos, clip them out, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Or definitely just hit that like button. And especially if you're watching us live, man, let your presence be known. Don't be shy. We don't bite around here. At the end of the day, these are simply our A+ opinions, but we always want to know yours. As we go through our topics, feel free to converse with us. Let us know your thoughts on some of these topics also. And if this is your first time joining us here, we got 3 different segments. We'll start off with the first one. Let's go ahead and kick this show off. Stuart, you ready, man?
always.
This is our honorable mentions portion of the show. Topics that we felt didn't quite make the cut, but certainly felt very important that you guys certainly should still know about them. So let's get into some honorable mentions. Stuart, do you happen to have one for us today?
Yes. I wish I screen capped it because unfortunately the options that came up from Google Images are really lame. So yeah, so anyways,
Thanks,
that
Google.
that 90 show, not only has it been renewed for a second season, but the trailer for that season has actually come out, and it looks pretty awesome. They hook you in with a really awesome banger 90 song, and on top of that, we have some really cool guest appearances this season, mostly some actors we've seen before in that 70s show. We got Seth Green coming back, which is awesome.
Hey.
His character was pretty funny, and I love Seth Green in anything he's in, so I'll always watch it. But then my favorite is we get some new characters this season, and we know that one of the or two of these characters are going to be played by Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. So I love that 70s show, slash that 90s show. And of course, you guys know I am a huge Kevin Smith fan. I mean, I wear his jacket all the time. So Kevin Smith coming into that 70s show universe.
That's
Oh my
crazy.
God, that is the craziest thing. Yeah.
That is pretty bananas. Are they going to be playing Jane Silent Bob?
It doesn't look like it. It
Okay,
looks like they're playing Friends of Leo's, which I guess they're a version of Jay and Silent Bob. But
that's
it is
crazy.
funny. It is funny because my first thought was, oh, what if Kevin Smith is playing himself? Because like they mentioned Clerks in season 1.
Mm.
So that would have been funny, but from the screenshot that we get, it doesn't look like that's the case. It looks like they're just kind of playing Leo's stoner friends or whatever.
You mentioned you mentioned season 1 of that '90s show, and a part of me was like, "Wait, that show came out already?" I don't even remember it being the first season being
I
released, bro.
I reviewed it for the channel.
I totally don't even remember that show coming out, man. Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
How did you like the first season?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. It
Yeah?
not great. It was definitely one of those you get this feeling with a lot of sitcoms, especially now that like TV shows don't have the same runtime as they used to. But it really felt like this was season one was just like them trying a bunch of things without straying too far. So I wouldn't quite call it throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. It's more yeah, they're just trying to figure out what their footing is, what works, what doesn't. So for the most part, season one was just okay. It had
Mhm.
some really good moments in it, some not so great, but I'm really excited to see what the show improves on. Hopefully, it improves on what didn't work and keeps what did work. Yeah, it's a show that showed me a lot of potential basically during season one. So even though season one wasn't amazing, there was a lot of potential in it.
Good successor, would you say, for the '70s show? Like, if you're a
Yeah,
fan of the '70s shows, you certainly check it out?
yeah, definitely. I think that if you like that 70 show, this was clearly a show written for that 70 show fans.
Okay, cool. That's good to know, man. That's good to know. Um, what's up, Anthony? Good to see you in here, man. He says, "Season 1 was okay. I felt they miscast the lead girl, though." So it's good to see you, Anthony.
I could see that in the first episode, but I feel like by the end of the season, she definitely kind of like fit into that role pretty well.
Okay, that's good to know, man. Yeah, because I usually tend to feel like, especially on like, the way that they film a lot of television shows is they go in order per episode. And so when I look at television shows and people's performance, I usually try and take notice of how well they progress as the season goes on. Because it is one of those things like the first episode, they're usually still trying to get their footing as the character, figure out the chemistry with the people that they're kind of working opposite alongside. And I do feel like, especially if you go back and you watch a lot of I find this especially too in like the Arrowverse shows, like the longer the season progresses, I feel like the better the people wind up sort of fitting into their characters and their roles, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll have to check it out, man. I'll definitely have to check it out. But yeah, because I totally forgot season one drop, but I'm glad it's getting a renewal for season two.
Yes.
Couple of other honorable mentions and things we want to bring you guys' attention. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out our YouTube channel in this past week, we did drop some brand new content for you guys. Stuart came through with his Tales of the Empire review, his 6-episode series review. I haven't had the opportunity to check out your review yet because I've only made it through the Morgan Elsbeth storyline. I have to finish off the Barris Offee ones, but once I'm done, I'll definitely go ahead and check it out. And then Knuckles, if you guys are big fans of Knuckles, the Sonic series on Paramount, Stuart went ahead and dropped his series review on Knuckles as well. So Stuart coming through with the heavy activity this week, man. Also, as of yesterday, I did post my Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes review. I'm trying to get comfortable putting my face on these damn thumbnails. I hear apparently it's supposed to it's supposed to help. Um,
That's good to know.
so yeah, so putting myself on these thumbnails now, but did have the opportunity to check out Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Did my non-spoiler review or spoiler-free review for you guys. Stuart, have you had the opportunity to check out the movie yet?
No, not yet. I did hear something, and since you've seen the movie, I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. Apparently, the villain of the movie was based on Elon Musk. Did you get that vibe when you were watching it?
I wanna. No, I mean, I guess I would want to read the article as to say how he related Elon Musk to this character. Um, I want to hear a little bit more before I say a yes or a no, because when I watched him, I don't know if that was my first thought, like, oh, this dude feels like Elon Musk to me. So I do want to know what he means by that when he says Elon inspired the character. I will say I was a big fan of Proximus Caesar in here in regards to like the actor that played him. I think it was Kevin Durant, who I didn't even know he was even that character, but he really brought a great sort of weight to Proximus Caesar. Very formidable character too, to say the least. I mean, my thing is with Proximus, he very much sort of twists the truth around, in the sense that he takes sort of Caesar's teachings and he manipulates that teaching in order to acquire power and leverage and whatever the case may be. So I when he says he compares it to Elon Musk, I definitely want him to like elaborate a little bit more so
I
I
was
can
gonna
figure it
say
out.
it kind of sounds more like you're describing the Catholic Church at this point.
I mean, I mean, they definitely have put Caesar very much in that messianic character sort of um art, archetype character. And it really works for me in here, but it does goes I think this movie does a great job of showing how his words have changed over 300 years, how some people have held true to what Caesar has taught, and surprisingly, some people that just have never even don't even know who Caesar is. And I guess that's a really great lesson in the sense of 300 years from Caesar's time, a lot can really change. History can be lost, or history can be remembered by people that want to use it to their advantage. So I just thought it was really fascinating in that sense. But definitely recommend it, man. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I did go ahead and drop my grade, my report card for it. I gave it a B+.
Ooh, nice.
So I really enjoyed it. If anything, if anybody else from Hero Report winds up checking it out, this isn't the final consensus report card as of yet, but if we get more people from Hero Report to check it out, we'll average out our grades for a more consensus. But as of right now, I've got it at a B+.
So one thing I was confused about though during the trailer, so the humans have kind of like devolved into a more Neanderthal kind of mindset, and then the apes have kind of evolved to be more human-like and more civilized. So why is it that like the apes are still naked, but the humans are still civilized enough to wear clothes?
I mean, that's a good question, man. Um, I think I will say mentality wise, they're very much evolved. I don't. Th- this movie lets you know that the apes are definitely trying to acquire more. So I don't know if that's, it's definitely acquire more knowledge, whether or not that's like, hey, how do we use needles and how do we use cloth and thread and stuff? I clearly they haven't gotten to that point yet after 300 years to actually learn how to pick that up. But yeah, it is fascinating. I think it's really fascinating to kind of see how the humans have devolved in here, and there's definitely more to the human story that gets explained in here too. I wish they went a little bit more in depth, but there's definitely more to it when you guys check out this particular movie. It's a great setup though too for an upcoming trilogy, if in regards to finishing off another second and third film.
Oh, okay.
So I definitely have a big lead in. So yeah, those are some of the things that we've talked about this week. If you want to check us out, check out some of our videos that we dropped this past week. As far as honorable mention goes, let's see here. We got Godzilla and Kong back in the news this week. They've officially acquired a writer for their next sequel. So as of right now, the new Empire has grossed close to $555 million worldwide. It's been crushing it at the box office, but they have enlisted the Shang-Chi writer, Dave Callahan. He is, in fact, scheduled to go ahead and write the next Godzilla X Kong film. If anything, I would be curious if the same director is going to be coming back to direct at least, but they do have a new writer on board. So, if anything, I'm sure Adam Wingard, who did the new Empire films, it would not surprise me if he already has like a story outline as to like the next progression of this franchise for the MonsterVerse, but clearly bringing somebody else in to actually write the script itself. So I think if you were fans of Shang-Chi and Dave Callahan's work, you might be excited about that news.
Mm-hmm.
We also got some Game of Thrones news. It's official. Games of Thrones spinoff Night of the Seven Kingdoms has added a director. For those of you who are big fans of the Netflix series Black Mirror, the director of the episode San Junipero, which is one of their really probably one of the more widely known episodes. The director of that, Owen Harris, is boarding the Hedge Knight series to direct half of the first season.
Wow.
Yeah, it says Let me see here. Owen Harris is aboard the HBO drama as an executive producer and will also direct the first 3 episodes. Um, in addition, Knights of the Seven Kingdoms episode count has now been revealed. The first episode will only be 6 episodes. 6 episodes, making for a tighter opener than the 10-episode first season of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. They say the runtime seems appropriate given that Night is an adaptation of George R.R. Martin's 160-page novella, The Hedge Knight, rather than one of his 900-page epic novels. So based off of just being a smaller book and a smaller novel itself, that's why we're getting 6 episodes for the first season. But yeah, Owen Harris from Black Mirror will in fact be doing the first 3 episodes of the show.
That is cool. Because yeah, from what I understand, these are just like kind of one-off adventures, and they don't have like a huge impact in like the grand scale of Game of Thrones. At least that's from what I understand. I could end up being completely wrong, but I think his book was 3 completely separate like adventures, like almost like an episode, like an episodic kind of thing.
Okay, so I am kind of curious how many seasons we would even get out of this. Who knows? Maybe this is like a limited series that it turns out to be, but maybe we get like 3 seasons. So maybe a season per adventure. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah.
What else we have for honorable mentions? Frank Grillo is back. Good old Crossbones from the MCU. He is in fact back. He's in the news this week because he's going to be joining James Gunn for season 2 of Peacemaker. For those of you who don't recall, James Gunn has also cast Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr. in the upcoming animated series Creature Commandos. And one of the things that James Gunn has mentioned was, hey, in this new DCU, if you're going to be voicing characters from the animated series, you too will also be the live action adaptation of those characters. So he's keeping true to his word here. Frank Grillo from the animated series Creature Commandos as Rick Flag Sr. will in fact be in season 2 of DC's series Peacemaker. So some great things, man, for Frank Grillo. He's been pretty much talking out about the MCU. He has not been happy about the MCU and how they did Crossbones and not giving him sort of further opportunity in here. So he's been really pumping up James Gunn and his happiness of being a part of the DCU as of right now.
I'm really excited to see him in Peacemaker. I'm curious how he's gonna react, with Peacemaker, who killed his son in the Suicide Squad. I also
good point. That's a great callback to the Suicide Squad movie.
I also am wondering now, how clear is it going to be what's going to be canon from both the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker? Because from the way the story goes in season 2, from the way James Gunn is describing it, the story of season 1 and season 1 and the Suicide Squad will be involved in season 2 of Peacemaker, but they're still not canon. So
interesting.
Yeah, so I'm assuming what he's probably going to mean by that is that the story happens, but the specific Easter eggs, the Justice League appearing at the end of Peacemaker, the name drops, a lot of the kind of more specific small details, I guess, during the events of the Suicide Squad. I'm assuming he's going to retcon those, but the story of what happened is still going to remain canon.
Do you remember what Idris Elba's character's name was? Was that Bloodsport? Was that who he was?
Yeah, I believe so. Bloodsport.
There was a hint that he was in prison for shooting Superman with a kryptonite bullet. I wonder if that Superman is David Cornsweat's Superman.
Oh, that's a good question.
I do wonder if he can easily throw in the Suicide Squad movie into canon for our DCU. His new DCU, but that'll be interesting to see how he maneuvers around that. I totally agree with you, Stuart.
That is a question I got to ask to James Gunn now, or someone should ask James Gunn that on Twitter. Is that still canon with this Superman? Did he send James Cornsworth into the hospital or Henry Cavill? We need to know.
Yeah, I definitely need to know for sure. So that's Frank Grillo popping up as Rick Flag Sr. in Peacemaker season 2. And last but not least, huge news. Shogun star Hiroyuki Sanada actually has inked a deal officially to return for a season 2. As FX limited series, they are switching it for their Emmy to a drama now officially because of the fact that they're trying to make a second season here. Now, I know that this is based off of a novel. And there was a previous Shogun series as well that this is sort of a remake of. I honestly thought that this was just going to be sort of a one-off. So I'm very curious as to where it goes from here. It says securing Sanada, whose character journey to become Shogun and lead Japan to an era of peace was chronicled in the 10-episode adaptation of James Clavell's novel, and has been considered crucial to any plan to extend Shogun beyond its original installment. So I am kind of curious as to whether or not is there still more of that book to be adapted. Did they tell all of the story in season 1? I personally have, surprisingly, I have not watched Shogun as much as it has been critically acclaimed and talked about. The reviews are bananas. I mean, if you watch Shogun, people have absolutely loved this show, calling it possibly the best show of the year. I have not had the opportunity to check it out. So I am kind of curious if that means, is there more of this novel to be adapted, or when you start breaking ground into a season 2, is this now going to be more original series based? So I am really fascinated to see how that's going to turn out. If you guys have read the novel or have seen any of this anything of Shogun, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below, what you think season 2 might actually encompass. But I know a lot of people are really thrilled about the idea of having Sonata come back for sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't like the novel historical fiction?
I honestly can't remember, Stuart. I don't know. I'm not too familiar. I'm gonna have to Google that real quick.
Because my thoughts is that if the show goes on beyond the novel, then eventually you stop becoming historical fiction and you just become fiction.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm not surprised. FX definitely loves milking the shows that make them a lot of money. I mean, just look at It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is now going on to like 16, 17 seasons now. But this is a show that I do want to check out at some point. I do want to check it out. I think once Discovery's final season comes to an end, I'll finally switch to this show.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check this one out for sure. Everybody keeps telling me to watch it. But that will wrap it up for all of our honorable mentions here today, guys. So thank you so much for joining us here. Also, if you guys want to submit your live viewer questions over, you certainly can. Just go over to our YouTube channel, click on that community tab, and there is a live viewer question post. Before we get into our main topics, you have some time to go ahead and dive into that. But let me get some comments before we get into our main topic, see what you guys are saying. Enrique, what's up, Enrique? Good to see you, man. So I just saw the official trailer for the new film Despicable Me 4 with more clips, including the Mega Minion with a new poster. This isn't Minion related, but when I went to go see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, they had a PG-13 version of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, which was really odd. And the final scene when they say "let's effing go," they cut it down to just "let's go." It was so weird. But yeah.
See, with a character like Deadpool, I wish they would be just a little bit more creative than that. Like, use a completely different trailer altogether if you want to make like a PG-13 version of it.
I mean, to be fair, it was kind of chopped up. I don't know if I saw any brand new images. Oh, there were a couple images. There was one new piece of the trailer that I hadn't seen before that just really made me laugh when they showcased the giant Ant-Man helmet. They really take their time in the trailer to let the mask come up so you can see the skeleton under, and then Deadpool comes into the scene and he says, "Oh wow, Paul Rudd finally aged."
Oh my god, that's awesome. Okay, now I want to watch this version of the trailer for that joke alone.
So yeah, I had people rolling in the movie theaters. But so yeah, they definitely sliced it up differently. They might have added one or two things that might have been a little bit different, but overall it was really just the language that had changed. But that Paul Rudd joke was really great. Enrique says, and finally, Garfield movie is almost here because Memorial Day weekend is going. Oh, that's right. The Chris Pratt Garfield film. We got Nathan Moore in the house. What's up, Nathan Moore? Talking about the Hedge Knight. 6 episodes. Do we need this then? that's that's a pretty good question, man.
I
You know,
guess we'll find out when it comes out.
yeah, I guess we'll find out when it comes out for sure. I will say I look, we've only had House of the Dragon as a spinoff of Game of Thrones, but look, if it's as good of a novella as they think it is and is worthy to tell, then for me, I'm always cool to kind of see more history in this world and building upon what they already have. I feel like this probably runs concurrently with maybe another series or maybe in between what happens with House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones somewhere. But that's always a good question, Nathan. Do we really need this if it's only 6 episodes? But we'll see how many seasons we can get out of it for sure.
It is kind of funny to me how many shows now can get away with having like how do I describe it? Like one franchise that has so many different timelines that like writers can just have their own spin-offs going in and not have to worry about like stepping on anyone's toes. Like because you get that with Star Trek, with Star Wars, how like all the shows that will come out will be in completely different time periods. And now you have it with Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I kind of dig it. I love being able to have them play in their own little sandbox and really tell the stories that they want to tell without having to worry about other stories taking place. We got Blossom. He says, "You sure weren't monkeying around about those apes, were you?" No, man. Planet Kingdom of the Planet of Apes is a great film. I highly recommend checking it out. I think. Look, I will say this: it is a very much a worthy successor to the recent trilogy that we wind up getting. I think the one thing that I walk away from this is they take this franchise very seriously, and they are not going to put forth a story if they don't feel like it's gonna be worth telling. Do I think that the script is perfect? No, I don't. I definitely had some issues with the script. I would have liked a little bit more exposition in regards to certain things, but overall, I feel like that's something they can easily build off in a second and third film, but just as enjoyable as the recent trilogy, I thought personally. What else we got in here? Marcelino. What's up, Marcelino? He says, "Hey, Stuart, regarding my question from 2 weeks ago about one-shot fight scenes, he says, you're wrong about the Thinker fight scene. That was amazing. Even season 4 haters praised that fight scene."
Okay.
Everybody's
I guess
opinion.
I guess I gotta rewatch it then.
Yeah, everybody's opinion is different. He may be minority opinion, but it's still his opinion. Who else we got in here? Sharp. What's up, Sharp? Good to see you. He says, "What's up, people? Good to see you in here, Shenron. We got a couple wishes we'd like you to grant us." And then good old Ram Jam. This is off topic. Anyone see the anime on Disney Plus? Go Loser
Yes.
Ranger. Oh, what'd you think
Oh,
of it?
I didn't know it was on Disney Plus
I didn't
too.
know it was on Disney Plus either.
Yeah, I was watching it on Hulu. So currently watching that and Kaiju number 8. And yeah, so Loser Rangers is basically The Boys, but instead of like American superheroes, it's Power Rangers, or in this case Super Sentai. But it's like the exact same kind of premise where like in front of the cameras, everyone loves these guys. They're seen as heroes. Behind the cameras, oh, these guys are total assholes.
Could you think you could review it for the channel? Maybe like as a series? Is it like a weekly thing?
It's a weekly thing. I kind of want
Maybe
to
like a
wait till the
series review?
series comes out, and
Yeah,
then
like
I'll let you know,
okay.
definitely.
All right, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Man, I have to check it out. I hadn't heard. I think I've seen like a trailer for it, or at least a brief clip of it, but I didn't even know it was something that was available here on Disney Plus or even in the States. So that's cool. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it's just because I don't watch a lot of modern anime, because every time I watch a new anime that is like, brand new that just came out, I'm always like, holy crap, the animation. This is like one of the best looking animes I've ever seen. But then like undoubtedly, like 1 year from now, another new anime is going to come out and I'm going to say that exact thing. But as of now, I'm currently watching this and Kaiju number 8 at the same time. They both look freaking incredible animation wise, like some of the best animation I've ever seen.
I wonder what studios do them. I'll have to dive into that for sure. And last but not least, Blossom says it may be a parody, but those fellas are an insult to Power Rangers everywhere.
I mean, I think they're meant to be. And
Yeah,
like, the same way with the characters from The Boys
of the
being
boys.
kind of like, like I don't want to say like an insult as in like the show itself is trying to insult superheroes, but the characters themselves are definitely an insult to superheroes.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably a good way to put it for sure. But all right, y'all, that will do it for our honorable mentions segment. If anything, we'll go ahead and get into our main topics. Remember, guys, at the end of the day, these are just simply our A plus opinions. We always want to know yours, so feel free to let us know some of your thoughts in regards to these main topics that we're gonna get into with you guys today. Stuart, you ready to kick off this show, man?
Always.
Let's do it. We're like 35 minutes deep into the show. Let's get into some of these main topics, man. We got the MCU on deck this week, man. Good old Kevin Feige behind the scenes working his ass off to get Marvel Studios certainly back where it certainly used to be. As we have a couple of updates in here, like we've been keeping you guys updated over the past several weeks in regards to Marvel's certainly their new strategy of trying to change it to quality over quantity, whereas recently it's been very much the reverse, as they have flooded Disney Plus with a bunch of television series and movie theaters with a bunch of movies. But we clearly know that they have plans on slowing down. But what does slowing down truly look like for Marvel Studios? And this week we wind up actually getting some a brand new insight in regards to what that possibly means for Marvel, as it looks like they are dwindling not only the amount of movies but also the number of television shows. Stuart, do me a big favor also, if you can Google this in the background. How many movies and television shows did we get back in like 2021 or 2022 from the MCU? So it'll give us a kind of an idea as to like where we used to be with phase 4 and phase 5 and where we are going forward. So let's go ahead and get into this article. I'm gonna bring this up here. This actually came to us this week this one is from variety.com. That when it comes to from Variety, it says Marvel will release no more than 3 movies and 2 shows per year. This is what Bob Iger says in his recent sit-down interview. So let's go ahead and go through this. Can I close this player? Will it let me? I'm tired of seeing Orlando Bloom on my screen here, but whatever. There we go. Bob Iger says the company is shrinking the MCU with a new mission to drop the number of Marvel TV series to 2 a year and the film output to no more than 3 movies per year. Iger says this is part of Disney's overall strategy to reduce output and focus on quality, a strategy that's particularly true with Marvel. He says we're slowly going to decrease volume and go to probably about 2 TV series a year instead of what we had instead of what had become 4. Oh wow, so they had 4 television series a year. Now they're reducing that down to 2, and reduce our film output from maybe 4 a year to 2 or a maximum of 3. So it sounds like the status quo is going to be 2, but an in case situation, possibly 3 at a max. He says we're working hard on what that path is. That's what he said at an earnings call back on Tuesday. Iger says Marvel has a couple of good films in 2025, and then we're heading to more Avengers, which we're extremely excited about. Overall, I feel great about the slate. It's something that I've committed to spending more and more time on. The team is one that I have tremendous confidence in, and the IP that we're mining, including all the sequels that we're doing, is second to none. So for me, this gives me a little level of confidence that Kevin Feige does have a support system here, in the sense that Iger himself is saying, I'm committed to spending more and more time on it. I don't think he's getting involved creatively, but I think as far as helping right the ship, him paying a little bit closer attention in regards to what the quality level of Marvel, I think, is always a good thing. It says the announcement is at odds with the most recent release calendar distributed by Disney, which has 4 films slated for 2025. You've got Captain America: Brave New World, which I think we've known about. You've got Thunderbolts, and the Fantastic Four, along with Blade. 4 more Marvel slated for, and then 4 more Marvel slated for 2026, including the Avengers, Oh, I guess that's all they mention in here. So I guess and four more Marvel's movies slated for 2026. I think that's all going to be thrown around here. Like it would not surprise me if within a couple of weeks here, or maybe even after the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, that we get an official sort of release schedule for 2025 and 2026. Because as of right now, the idea that Blade is listed as 2025 is almost laughable to me. And I only say that because this movie has been trying to get off the ground for several years now with like barely any movement. So the idea of Blade coming in 2025, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's happening. So I can easily see that movie being pushed to 2026 at some point in time. So, I think if he says two at a minimum, or two being the standard, three being the max, maybe 2025 is one of those years of max, because I do think Captain America Brave New World, and with Thunderbolt supposedly being sort of like the next step from that film, like connective tissue wise. And then, of course, the Fantastic Four. There's a part of me that feels like those three kind of belong in a 2025 release date window. But Stuart, you hear this news, man. Is there anything that really stands out to you? Did you find any information about how many were released, or how do you feel about the changes here that are happening?
So, without looking at the comments, if you had to guess how many projects altogether, so movies and TV shows had come out in the year 2021, what would your guess be?
Like movies and television?
Yeah, yeah. So your total number of 2021.
I would say 9.
You were exactly on the dot right there. It's
Yeah?
exactly 9 because, so in the comments, Shenron says that he got 8, but I think if I had to guess, maybe you forgot to include What If, because if you include What If,
Mm.
we had 5 TV shows and 4 movies
All in 2021?
in 2021. Yes.
Yikes.
So
Yikes.
for me personally, I think if it were up to me, I would bring it down to 2 I think what James Gunn said he's trying to do with the DC universe, that's what Marvel should try to work towards, which is 2 movies and 2 TV shows. You can release them at completely different end periods of the year, or maybe do like 1 movie, 1 TV show, 1 movie, 1 TV show. Just you can spread it out that way a lot more like thin, so that way people will like crave. Or actually, here's a comment that says it like perfectly: give audiences less and they will crave much more. So to me, I think that's the direction they should be aiming towards. But I kind of get it. They also have so many things in production right now. So I guess it's probably like to prevent laying people off. It makes sense that they have to kind of reduce their output a little slower than that. So yeah, I think that right now, taking any measures they can to lessen the output of how much they're putting out there. Yeah, I think that's any move they can do is it's probably a smart move on their part. Yeah, I think yeah, bringing it down to 3 movies at the most is a good idea, and then hopefully same thing with the TV shows, and also try to make the TV shows, make it clear when the TV shows are not like important to watch for upcoming Avengers movies. That way, just because in general, I don't think you're going to get as many people watching the TV shows. And if they don't see it, they may be less inclined to see the movies because they may feel like they've missed something. So I think finding a way to make it more clear that you don't have to watch everything to watch what's new, that should be another priority that Marvel works on.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. But man, I'm surprised 9 projects. I wonder what 2022 was like for them overall, if it was that same sort of capacity. But yeah, I totally agree. Less is certainly more. And it seems as though that's where they're trying to go also. Because he does say in here, he says probably about 2 TV series a year, instead of what they had as 4, and then a 2 a year movie wise, or a maximum of 3. And I totally agree with you, Stuart. I think when he mentioned something along the lines of the idea of them going possibly 3 movies a year, that probably just comes in turn of, like you said, there's just a lot of things that are in production right now. I would ask Bob if some of them are even worthy enough of kind of coming to the big screen. Like, are those stories that absolutely kind of need to be told, if you will? Like Marcelino in here says, I heard the rumor that Iger quietly canceled a potential Photon series following Photon post the Marvels. And I don't necessarily even know if I would have, if that turns out to be true, I don't necessarily know if I even would need a Photon series. I mean, it would be interesting based off of where things left or when it comes to the Marvels, but I almost, if you're going to go that route, I would rather them almost try and find out another way of how to kind of tell her story. Just give me an X-Men series or movie at that point, if you know what I mean.
I was gonna say, like, if you did a Photon storyline that would be directly after the Marvels, you'd probably have people tuning into that, but not for the reasons you want. I feel
Yeah.
like people would be like, "Wait, wait, wait, we're gonna explore the X-Men universe more? Oh, give me that!"
Yeah, give me
I
that Photon series.
exactly. I think that that's unfortunately what people would be more excited about.
But
So
I
yeah.
but I do think if you have a potential series or a movie that progresses the overall sort of story arc that they're going for this multiverse saga, then certainly keep those on board. Things like Vision Quest, which I didn't think was actually even gonna, like, when they came out and they announced like, hey, there's, we're gonna start cutting back on some projects. I honestly thought a lot of these were gonna go by the wayside, but when you think of something like a Vision Quest based off of how things ended for his character at the end of WandaVision, seeing the situation for Scarlet Witch at the end of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, like that is a thread that I do have interest in and kind of want to see developed a little bit more. But if you have if you're just introducing brand new characters just to put them into the MCU, maybe that's not necessarily the best route to go right now. Maybe focus on just the story that you have, and the characters that certainly fit within it. But I do think that this is a smart move on their part. So I'm glad that they kind of clarified things a little bit. Again, I do think the idea of 3 movies a year, I'm I would agree with you, Stuart. 2 and 2 movies and series works for me. But if it's a film that you have to release within a timely manner in order to hit other release dates, then I'm okay with the idea of them being 3 movies and 2 series, as long as you don't have too many cooks in the kitchen, and you've got everybody kind of working on the same page, not feeling like, hey, we got to rush this out just to do so. If you can keep the quality the same, and people really focusing on it, then I have no problem with that.
And we got a super chat from Blossom.
Can't blame Feige for slowing it down a bit. Marvel is awesome, but geez, oh Ruby, too much is too much. Yeah, it definitely can become a little bit overwhelming, and I think in a sense it does not only water it down, but it certainly makes it feel not as special. You know what I mean? Um, you know, my thing is, I don't, I still have faith very much in Marvel Studios. I don't think the movies are as bad as a lot of people say they are. I still think that they're good, serviceable films, but I do think even when you say, hey, that movie was just good, it wasn't great, is that still living up to sort of the Marvel standards? And so for me, it's like, while I have seen the past phases 1 through 3, certainly not all of them are bangers. It certainly can be a roller coaster ride for sure. Have some of these phase 4 and phase 5 movies been as good as they could potentially have been? That I would say no. I do think that some of the quality certainly has dipped, but I don't think that that means that they're terrible films. And I would also say, one, for me, box office doesn't show the quality of how good a film is. I personally think box office shows just how popular a film is, certainly like at the time that it's released. Because I do think if you look back at, look, if you want to take critic scores or audience scores into consideration, a lot of the past recent Marvel films for Phase 4 and 5 has scored relatively well, with the exception of maybe like 2 or 3 here that have kind of come in rotten wise. So I do think that there's more work. I just don't know if it's as bad as some people would like you to think that it is. But I do think, if anything, this does deserve Marvel Studios to go back to the drawing board to rethink how they are bringing out their content, because the quality for me certainly has suffered, but I still think that there are good projects out there. Stuart, what about you though?
Yeah, no, I would totally agree. Like, I definitely agree that Marvel has gone like downhill, but I wouldn't say that they're only producing like garbage or anything like terrible. In fact, like, the Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania were two movies that I myself were pretty harsh on in terms of like my overall thoughts on them. But even then, it's like I wouldn't consider them bad movies. They just they really fall in line with more of the kind of like some of the more forgettable Phase 2 Marvel movies. So I still would say, like, if that's your worst, you're still, you're doing all right. If this is the worst you can give me, you're doing pretty good at it. You're doing something right.
I think for me, like if there is a project that I just did not care about, and I will outright say, like, I just didn't need this. It's definitely Secret Invasion. Like
Yes.
that is just this is an absolutely terrible show, man. Like I just was not feeling it at all. But that's probably the worst project that I've seen them actually put out, to be quite frank with you.
It's so ironic too. I thought I was going to feel that exact same way about Loki season 2 because it started out great with episode 1, and then just for the next couple of episodes, I don't know what it was, just something about it was just not engaging me, and I just didn't think it was gonna be that good. But then, like, last 2 episodes, and I say last 2 like it's that many episodes. It's only 6 episodes altogether. So when I say there was a time where it was losing me, that time was episodes 2, 3, and 4. So you get those 3 episodes, which are very forgettable. But then you get the last 2 episodes of Loki season 2, and they're freaking incredible. Like some of the best written dialogue that we've gotten in the Marvel universe, especially during the last episode.
I absolutely love Loki season 2. I think it's one of my favorite projects out there. And somebody else said in here, Enrique says Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in 2022 was the best Marvel movie.
Oh
Definitely
yeah.
one of the best Marvel movies in that phase for sure. I absolutely loved Guardians 3. Um, what else are you guys saying in here? Um Marcelino says McDonald's released Captain America 4 toys revealing the Red Hulk in the film. This is because the
Ooh.
movie was planned for 2024 May before getting pushed back. Yeah, I think there's like a Red Hulk keychain or something like that comes from McDonald's that teased it. But yeah, it's really because of the fact that this movie was supposed to be dropped a lot sooner. Sharp Shenron says, I forgot Shang-Chi. It was probably one of the better films out of that phase that we wind up getting. I was a really big fan of Shang-Chi. It probably deserves a rewatch for sure.
Like I use that one as my example a lot of what I like, what Marvel does right and what Marvel does wrong, because I think this movie is a perfect example of both. You have
Mhm.
a great story in this movie, especially like when it comes to the relationship between Shang-Chi and his dad. But then you also have the most pointless, like, final boss battle at the end of it. And it was just like, no, no, no. We need to really upscale this story to give us like an end game style final boss at the end, even though we really didn't need that. It was perfect the way it was. And then you just had to bring in a dragon for no fucking reason.
He was fighting Shenron. I'm pretty sure he was fighting Shenron in that movie.
They did reference Dragon Ball Z, which I thought was great at the very end.
um Marcelino, he hasn't really been the biggest fan of the MCU content lately. He says doesn't matter if they release less if people running things don't know what they're doing. Liz Olsen has to correct the writers during
Multiverse of
some
Madness.
madness because they were clueless about WandaVision. And that's really comes into play in regards to too many cooks in the kitchen. Way too many content creators and putting out too many projects. Like that's a situation where Kevin Feige really should recognize, like, these people should be collaborating with each other. Like it doesn't make any sense for like people on Multiverse of Madness to not be sitting down with the writers of like a WandaVision to try and figure out all the steps that happen in the series before going into the movie. So there are definitely elements like that I do think Marvel is certainly correcting now.
You know why I think they made this mistake, actually? Because looking back at phase 1 of Marvel, despite what a lot of people believe, it was not all the way thought out like when they started. They were writing the storyline with the Infinity Gauntlet as they went along. This was not planned from the beginning. Having Thanos at the very end of the Avengers was actually a very last minute thing. So keeping that in mind, all the end credit stingers and everything, there wasn't really that much clear communication between the writers during phase 1. but that was okay because phase one was only 5 movies. So any tiny mistakes were really easy to correct later on. But
Good
you
point.
get to phase four, which, as we just discussed, started in just 1 year with 9 different projects, and you get 9 different writers not communicating with each other. That's a much bigger number than, 5 writers over the course of 5 years. And now you got nine, well, more than nine, because, some of those are TV shows, so they involve multiple writers as well. So you have a crap ton of writers not communicating with each other. And I think that's, that's, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right there for sure. And then to jump on board this topic here, we did have another article. Marvel's Luis D'Esposito reflects on a rough time at the studio. He shared some of his thoughts here. He says, "We're coming back strong, though." He's got confidence in the direction of this. For those of you who don't know who this gentleman is, let me see if it gives us a brief description in here. He's the co-president of Marvel Studios. He says, dialing down the number of Marvel projects for audiences to digest. Hence, Deadpool and Wolverine is the only MCU movie to land this year. It's been a rough time, says the co-president of Marvel Studios, admits to Empire and the world exclusive Disney Deadpool and Wolverine issue. However, he sees Wade Wilson's mutant team up threequel as a sign of things getting back on track. He says, if we just stayed on top, that would have been worse. That could have the worst thing that could have happened to us. We took a little hit, and we're coming back strong. He says that less is more ethos looks set to continue in years to come. He says maybe when you do too much, you dilute yourself a little bit. We're not going to do that anymore. We learned our lesson. Maybe 2 to 3 films a year and 1 or 2 shows, as opposed to doing 4 films and 4 shows. For Marvel's boss Kevin Feige, he's seeing the positive side of the MCU being back. Being on the back foot again. After all, back in phase one, that's exactly where they began. He says, it's nice to be able to rally behind one feature project this year. I'm much more comfortable being the underdog. I prefer being able to surprise and exceed expectations. So it does seem like the last year, which has been ideal, has set us up for that pretty well. With Deadpool professing himself to be Marvel Jesus in the Deadpool Wolverine trailers, it's clearly time for a resurrection. Kevin Feige says some of the lines that Ryan and his writers and Sean worked on have taken on more of a meaning. Says Feige. He says for director Sean Levy, he's ready to bring a completely different flavor to the MCU, and it just might be exactly what's needed. He says you'd have to live under a rock to know that the last few Marvel films have failed to ignite the world in the way that so many did. Is what Kevin Feige says. We do come along at an interesting time, and we are decidingly something different. Whether it is of messianic proportions, time will tell. So, look, I do want to give a shout out to Kevin Feige here in the sense of, and I've said this before, Stuart, like I appreciate those that hold themselves accountable or that can understand their mistakes and not act like the world isn't burning down around them. Like the fact that he even can point out the idea and be that self-aware, like, yeah, we are very much in a tough time right now. Like things did not necessarily go the way that we wanted to, and is open to admitting that. I think that takes courage. I think that takes, real focus for a leader to be able to kind of do something like that. And so for him to admit that, and then even the co-president of Marvel to be like, look, we kind of find ourselves in as an underdog position right now. We have plans on kind of coming back strong. The fact that Kevin Feige mentions, hey, it's nice to be able to focus on just one project for the time being, sort of thing. So it does almost feel like the momentum is now behind Marvel Studios. I mean, we'll see when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine, but the idea of this being the only film, I think, is a brilliant idea for Marvel. I think people are really behind Deadpool and Wolverine from everything that we've seen so far. And he's absolutely right. The Marvel Jesus may come through for them and really ignite that level of excitement again. And, if they can learn from their ways, and like co-president mentioned, the idea of them once again reducing the quantity of content that's out there, this makes me believe that they're really paying attention and they're hearing what the fans are certainly saying, and they're course correcting. So I'm getting more and more hyped to kind of see where Marvel Studios is going from here. But what do you think about what Feige had to say?
Yeah. Everything I kind of agree with for the most part. It is I can see why there would be a lot less pressure on him now that he's kind of I don't want to call Marvel the underdog, because they're still, a billion-dollar corporation, but at the same time, yeah, the excitement has died down, which means that the expectation has died down with it, which means now, yeah, it makes sense that there's a lot less pressure for him when it comes to these upcoming films. But I still do think that with Deadpool and Wolverine, it's great that he gets to put all his focus on it. But it also does kind of mean that, I don't know. To me, I feel like that would put extra pressure on that movie in particular to do really well, because it's also kind of the movie that's going to, I don't want to say win back fans, because I wouldn't say that like Marvel has like lost their fans. It's just that the fans have lost interest. And so I feel like this is the movie that could either get interest back into the Marvel MCU, or it's definitely the movie that could like kind of cement the lack of interest, and then also cause 2025 to not be the biggest year for them either. So I'd say that this movie does have a lot riding on it. But it's good that Kevin Feige doesn't feel that pressure, I guess.
And what's crazy? The idea that the saviors of the MCU might end up being Fox characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Super ironic to think about.
Yeah, for real. Good old Blossom. What's up, Blossom? Again with the super chat. Yo, first and foremost, Blossom, thank you each and every week. I hope you are saving money for like your groceries and your rent and stuff, things that are very important. But trust me when I say we really do appreciate the idea of you continuing to support us super chat wise, and being able to help us out in that way. Again, we don't have any sponsors, guys. So the way that this channel grows is really through you guys. So if you continue to love our content, man, feel free to send us a super chat if you want to. It doesn't matter how much it is, it definitely helps. But if you can't help monetarily, we understand things are tough right now when it comes to the economy. So if you can help us other ways, hitting that like button goes a long way. Subscribing to the channel, sharing these videos, it really does. But thank you once again, Blossom. You're helping out the channel is definitely recognized. She says, Marvel Jesus. She says, why call Thanos that? I mean, holy macaroni. He's definitely, they're referring to Deadpool in that sense. If you've checked out the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, he calls himself the Marvel Jesus. But yeah, in the sense of hopefully saving the world here. So it should be pretty interesting. What else are you guys saying here? What I will say on top of that too, Stuart, not just the idea of, you mentioned the idea of Marvel referring to themselves as the underdog. And I would agree in the sense that when you're like a $1 billion production company, you're never really sort of the underdog. But it's kind of like in coaching when it comes to sports, like, hey, whatever is going to get you and your team hyped to come back for a victory. You know what I mean? For those of you who are sports heads, in the NBA, we got the NBA playoffs right now. And the Denver Nuggets, who are the defending champions, they were down in the series 0-2. They just got their ass whipped twice in a row by Minnesota Timberwolves. And people were like, oh, these champions about to get swept. They're done for, right? And you know what the head coach did? He went ahead and he put together like a 2-minute reel of like everybody counting them out. Talking about you can't do it. They can't overcome this deficit sort of thing. Whatever he had to do to let his people hear all the negative and the backlash towards his team. And in game 3, they came out and they whipped that ass. They wind up winning the game. And so I do think that sometimes, you got to light a fire under yourself. And if that means referring to yourself sort of as underdogs that are going to get other people on board, like, yeah, you know what? They've been talking about shit about Marvel Studios for way too long, man. Like, let's show them what we really got. Maybe that will sort of change focus and put focus sort of back on quality over quantity. So hey, whatever Kevin Feige got to tell himself and the rest of his crew to sleep better at night and to put more creative juices towards it, I'm here for it, man.
Yeah, actually, that is a good point.
Nathan Moore giving us the facts, 100% here. And Shenron says, "Yeah, get fans hype again." And I've said this before, and I'll say it again here. I do think, I do think that if Deadpool and Wolverine come out of this with a huge box office, really great sort of critical praise from fans and critics. I think Sean Levy is in prime position to possibly do an Avengers film. I would be pretty surprised if he certainly wasn't. Like we got two Avengers films certainly coming, Avengers 5 and 6. I don't know if I can't remember if one of them already has a director on board. I can't remember, but I do think Sean Levy might be if this is successful, I think he might have an opportunity to be a director for an Avengers movie. Maybe even a writer for one. Who knows? But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to that. How are you feeling about Marvel Studios' new strategy? 2-2, maybe 3-2 when it comes to movies and televisions. How do you feel about the idea of calling themselves underdogs, seemingly igniting the fire once again, and hopefully changing course? We definitely would love to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. But with that out of the way, Stuart, I think that will wrap up our first main topic of the day. And from there, let's continue in the MCU as the Fantastic Four is back this week. We've been getting some really great casting announcements that have been dropping all week long as they are, in fact, preparing to get in front of the cameras, I believe, this summer, if I'm not mistaken. So they're definitely getting ready for their 2025 release date. If anything, I am still kind of curious with this movie set to drop in like literally a year. Can they get everything that they need done in a timely manner? Especially when it comes to special effects and stuff. I do wonder if this 2025 release date will certainly continue to hold true or not. I certainly hope so. But we've had a countless of casting updates over the past several weeks and months. And guys, I don't think it gets outside of the actual cast itself. I don't think it gets any bigger than this one, Stuart, and I mean that literally, as it seems as though our World Eater himself has officially been cast, as according to Hollywood Reporter, Fantastic Four casts Ralph Ineson as Galactus. This is in fact an exclusive report from them, as our World Eater has in fact been cast. Says the actor known for genre work such as The Witcher and Game of Thrones is in talk to play a very big bad for Marvel Studios. Let me go ahead and pull up this image real quick while we talk about this article briefly, because we do have our Galactus. Now we've already been notified as to who our Silver Surfer is going to be, as they're going with Shala Ball Silver Surfer from the Earth X storyline. So he will, in fact, at least have one herald, but we'll see if we get any more in the future. But according to Hollywood Reporter, it says the Fantastic Four meet your villain. Ralph Ineson, the British actor whose 3-decade career ranges from the Harry Potter movies to recent horror prequel The First Omen, has landed the plum part of Galactus, the antagonist in Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four. The high-profile, big-budget outing, the Fantastic Four's first under the Marvel Cinematic Universe umbrella, has been casting up in recent weeks ahead of a planned midsummer shoot in England. So if anything, I would expect maybe like a July shooting date. On the call sheet for our Pedro Pascal, and they go through the rest of the cast, and then also cast our Julia Garner as a female Silver Surfer, along with Paul Walter Hauser in an undisclosed role. For those of you who don't know Paul Hauser, he actually, I think the last project I saw him in was Cobra Kai, but he's been getting a lot of work lately. So yeah, Ralph Ineson will in fact be playing our Galactus. How are you feeling about this, Stuart?
So, does this mean that Galactus has been around since 2014? Because this actor was actually a pilot in Guardians of the Galaxy. So does that
Ooh.
mean Galactus has been secretly watching our Guardians of the Galaxy this whole time?
Ooh, interesting.
So, yeah, I haven't seen too many of his projects, but from what I have seen him in, like you mentioned, Game of Thrones and Witcher, right? Who was he in Witcher?
I don't know.
Huh? Maybe
Um,
might have been an episode I haven't seen because I still haven't seen like season 3. But I also did really I liked him in the Green Knight when he played the antagonist, the
oh,
Green Knight,
uh-huh.
and yeah, he was under a crap ton of makeup, but he was really good in that.
Yeah, it says he previously had a role in Robert Eggers' Viking drama The Northman, and routines with the filmmaker with whom he first worked on acclaimed horror movie The Witch. For vampire thriller Nosferatu, whose A-list cast. Okay, so Focus releases Nosferatu in December, so he's going to be in that. Also, he's currently in pre-production on Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. But yeah, he was just in the first Omen. He later played a key role in The Creator. So yeah, he's definitely been around for sure.
The Northman. I forgot he was in that movie too. Another really, really badass role.
I need to see. I want to see. I thought I pulled this down. I'm sorry. I really want to see him in the Green Knight. I feel like I really missed out on that film.
It is the way I would describe it, it is the Dark Souls of movies. Very much like if you ever play any of the Dark Souls games, they're very how do I say, they're very atmospheric about the way they tell their stories. Like essentially it's not very much a direct narration like you're kind of used to with like most video game storylines. And I'd say it's kind of like the same thing here. It drops you in this world. It like has a plot that you follow, but in terms of like kind of the world that they're in, they definitely don't try to describe this fantasy world that you're in. We know that it's like a
Mm.
version of like Arthurian lore, but they don't like really dive any deeper into it than that, which is something that I kind of like about the movie. It's a pleasant movie to like just look at, honestly.
Who was yeah, it's certainly still on my to watch list. Who did we have previously rumored to play Galactus? There was like one
Oh,
big name, Javier Bardem, right? Is that his name? Javier?
was it him that we? Oh man, that would have been really interesting. But yeah, I
Uh,
think I do remember that.
I think that's who was originally, and I could have just butchered his name for all I know. I apologize, but yeah, I thought he was originally rumored, or at least fan cast in the sense. His name was definitely sprinkled around there, but Ralph Ineson is in fact going to be our world eater here in Galactus. So I'm really excited to kind of see what he's going to bring to the table here. I'm trying to picture him with like a helmet on, or
Yeah,
just like covering his eyes.
I was literally thinking the exact same thing because I'm wondering if we're going to see his actual face in Galactus, or if they're going to kind of like CG like a more like just a CG his face onto like a giant body. How they're going to go about that, I very curious. Like they probably won't do the old school method of dressing him up as Galactus and then filming him in front of a green screen. Instead, they may just make Galactus fully CG and have him voice it. But
Mm.
I'm curious. I'm kind of excited to see how they go about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how they're going to bring him to light too. Like you said, I first I don't know why I picture him with the helmet on and then in front of a green screen, and all we see is like his head for most of the thing, like a floating head in space. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious how they wind up bringing him to life. Blossom again. Look, she drops a super chat just to tell us. By the way, I didn't say holy macaroni. I said holy macaroni. Yes,
So
I
you're saying that we should start reading your comments incorrectly more often? I'm kidding.
But yeah, thank you once again, Blossom. We really appreciate it. But yeah, I love your one liners for sure, your little phrases here and there. Um, Blossom does say that picture behind that guy. That's not a Sentinel from X-Men, is it? No, Marcelino does correct it. Like it, no, it's that is in fact Galactus. But definitely check that out. By the way, Nathan Moore says the first Omen is not a good movie. That was on my list of movies to go see. Also, I was gonna go ahead and get. I have a AMC A list subscription, so I get the opportunity to see like three movies a week. At the time, it was the first Omen or Immaculate. with Sydney Sweeney, and I chose the Sydney Sweeney movie. I don't want to say I didn't care for it so much, but I thought her performance in it was actually pretty good. But I had not seen the first Omen yet.
That's so funny. They made a prequel to the first Omen the same year that they did a sequel to The Exorcist.
Oh wow, that was the same year.
I think so, because didn't the Exorcist remake come out this year? Or the
Mm,
sorry, not remake, the
like
sequel
maybe
reboot?
last year, I believe. I'm not quite
Maybe it was last year. Okay, never
I'm
mind.
not sure. So yeah, so we have ourselves a Galactus, as Ralph Ennison is going to be playing that character, but we also do have additional news here as well. This
Oh, hang
comes
on one second. Just in case, just for the comment section, if this is a reference to the most recent episode, I am an episode behind on X-Men 97, so
ooh,
please no spoilers for X-Men 97. Actually, there's a possibility I'm 2 episodes behind, so just play it
oh,
safe. Just play it
oh,
safe, and let's not talk about the most recent events of X-Men
yeah,
97. It would be extremely appreciated.
yeah, man, you got a lot of catching up to do, bro. It's getting
Definitely.
intense, man. It's getting intense. Yeah, because you got to catch up because this week is the finale.
Ooh, I will definitely catch up in time for that.
This week is the finale, man. So yeah, then you can let Shenron know next week if you agree with him or not.
Oh yeah.
So not only did we get ourselves a world eater, but we also got ourselves a fantastic actor cast as well this week for Fantastic Four. Another addition here, John Malkovich, Stuart. I almost feel like you can never go wrong with John Malkovich. This guy has just so many years of experience. I have no idea who he's even going to play, but it does say that John Malkovich, according to Deadline exclusive, says is poised to return, is poised to enter the MCU. As they understand the actor has come on board for a role, as with the recent addition to Paul Walter Hosner. Malkovich's role is under wraps for now, along with the plot of the superhero flick. But as previously reported, those set for lead roles. Okay, so they go down everybody, all the other names that have been announced so far. WandaVision's Matt Shackman is directing the Fantastic Four. It says as a two-time Oscar nominee, Malkovich was most recently seen starring opposite Ben Mendelsohn in the Apple TV drama The New Look. Also appearing in the finale of Netflix's Ripley. And he's been seen in Showtime's Billions and Netflix's Space Force as well. But Malkovich has a huge IMBD for sure and resume. I always love John Malkovich, honestly. So look, it never hurts to add great talent to a cast to help bolster just performance wise and things like that in your movie. So I do think that they're coming along and putting together a really great cast so far. I have no idea who this man is going to play though. I have seen some people suggest Paul Hausner possibly playing that of the Mole Man. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. But I would be curious to see who John Malkovich. Any thoughts as to who he could potentially play? If you guys know, let me know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Um if I was a betting man though, I wouldn't be surprised if just given his age, if he was like playing kind of a mentor to Reed Richards.
Ooh, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty interesting to go ahead and certainly check out for sure.
Mhm.
We'll see if that's we'll see if that turns out to be true or not. But yeah, we'll see. It's all up in the air as of right now. Let's see here. All right, so that goes for all the casting. Marcelino says, I guess if Malkovich couldn't play the Vulture in Spider-Man 4, playing a character in Fantastic Four is the next big thing, which is ironic because both movies are four related.
Oh, was he actually meant to play the Vulture in Spider-Man 4?
Is that Sam Raimi's maybe Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4?
Yeah, that would have been okay. That would have been interesting.
That would have
I
been
could
yeah.
see that working.
That probably been a pretty interesting casting choice because I was like, wait, we just had the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, so I don't think that they would certainly have done that again. But that makes sense if you're referring to like the past Sam Raimi or even a Amazing Spider-Man in the future. But yeah, Malkovich probably would have been a really great Vulture at one point in time.
And my favorite concept art from Spider-Man 4 is who would have played Mysterio for a cameo, and it, of course, would have been Bruce Campbell.
For who? Bruce Campbell for who?
Mis- Bruce Campbell for Mysterio. If it was Sam Raimi's original like
Original
idea
one?
for Spider-Man 4, he would
Yeah.
have been kind of like an opening villain that would have been arrested like immediately. So he wouldn't have been like the main villain or anything. But as he gets his helmet taken off, it would have revealed Bruce Campbell underneath, which you could say could tie into why he's always like a different character in all the Spider-Man movies. Like we
Mm.
could say it's just because he's an actor, so he's literally putting himself in different roles.
I would have dug that, honestly. I would have dug that. Yeah, that would have been perfect for Bruce Campbell's character for sure. But that wraps it up for our Fantastic Four news this week. Let us know some of your thoughts in regards to the casting choices that we've had so far, as production is set to go ahead and begin mid-summer for the Fantastic Four movie. So we will transition from the MCU over to the DCU now, as I think James Gunn wound up bringing the internet to a standstill this week with our very first look at David Cornsweet as Superman himself. We have been asking for this image for the longest time. I do think, if anything, is probably because while filming is continuing, they're probably going to be in more public spaces here come this summertime. I believe that they are set to go ahead and start shooting in Ohio, in certain cities in Ohio. I don't know if that's this month or next month, but it is one of those things where James Gunn probably wants to get a little bit ahead of any leaks or photos from the set that certainly might be dropping. And so this week, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, we got our very first look at Superman, Superman himself. And I gotta say, man, I've heard a lot of positive around this. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews around this. So I thought this would be a pretty interesting topic for us to really get into here, as we have David Cornsweet. Just to describe the image here a little bit, it looks like very much like he's putting on his costume as he's sitting down in a chair. I don't know if this is his apartment, Lois Lane's apartment in Metropolis, who knows? But his suit does look like it's battle weathered for sure. Like he's definitely been in the grind. His top portion is a little bit darker than his bottom portion in regards to like his pants and his boots. So if anything, he definitely has gotten his suit rather dirty. But it does also showcase, I think, the idea that his suit certainly is brighter than it really is showcased in here. In the background, we got some sort of villain or creature that's getting hit with a blast, or he's shooting out a blast. Whatever the case may be, Metropolis or whatever city's back there looks like it's definitely in the middle of some action for sure. But I found this as an interesting first look, Stuart, in regards to how James Gunn would really like to have his Superman perceived. I did do a small video in regards to it. If you guys want to go ahead and check out my thoughts, I'll give my thoughts again here briefly. But I definitely want to know your thoughts, Stuart, in regards to this first look of David Cornsweet as Superman. What'd you think?
Well, I am definitely very mixed on it. So I'm gonna start with my positives and then I will get to my negatives. First positive is the photo itself, because I don't know. There's, it's one thing when you can take like an unrealistic photo and Photoshop it to make it more realistic. I feel like that's just like, the standard, but it's a whole nother thing when you can take a photo and make it look, because of like the coloring, because of the lighting, it almost like looks like this is a Photoshop. And it's
Mm,
weird that I mean that in a complimentary kind of way. It's just amazing that you can have such a like kind of comic book look, but like in a real photo. So like, that may sound like a backhanded compliment. It's not. I actually really like how this kind of looks like a Photoshop. And I think that was the intention too when this photo was taken. So I like that. I for the most part really like the material that the suit is made out of. I like that it's completely different from Henry Cavill's in that sense. I also love the chess piece. I love that we got the Kingdom
mm.
Come logo without the black. So there's still that bit of hope, because I kind of like in, Crisis on Infinite Earths, love that explanation that Brandon Ralph gives as to why he changed it from yellow to black. And because, of course, this is supposed to be a younger Superman, it makes sense that he, could have that logo without having the color scheme from the Kingdom Come. So that all to be said, some of my negatives on this photo. Okay, I mentioned this before, and I still will say that this is kind of a complaint I have within terms of the trousers. I'm down for a Superman suit with the trousers, just not this Superman suit with the trousers.
Uh,
The reason Superman wears trousers in the comic books is because canon wise, he wears tights. You need trousers to cover yourself up when you're wearing tights. So it makes total sense in the comic books why he wears it. It makes sense in the Christopher Reeve Superman movie why he wears it. And, you know, even though it's technically not tights in Crisis on Infinite Earths or in Superman Returns, it's supposed to be in that world. Even though it's clear that they didn't actually use like leathery material or whatever to make it in real life. In universe, it's supposed to be tight, so it makes sense. Here, I don't think you can convince me that he's wearing tights at all, especially because there's so many folds within his clothes. So the trousers don't make sense to me in the context of this suit personally. The other thing, and this is a me thing, this is not like an objectively bad design at all. This is just my personal preference. I'm not a fan of the Superman suits that have the collar. I know this became a thing
oh,
during New 52. It became
I
such a
love it.
popular thing to
Uh-huh.
do.
Uh,
I just am personally not a fan of the collar. You know, I love the way they did the suit design with Superman and Lois's suit. I thought that was awesome. Yeah, I'm not a collar guy. I get that other people are. A lot of people love that New 52 look for Superman. Totally fine. I will respectfully disagree with you guys on that. Um, but tone wise about this is what intrigues me the most, because I think the biggest concern a lot of people have about James Gunn directing a Superman movie is that he might focus a little bit too hard on the comedy aspect. You know, and I don't think that's going to be an issue currently. As of now, I still don't think that's going to be an issue, but I do like how this photo can honestly be taken in either context. Like, this can either be taken as, oh, this feels like kind of more of a satire of Superman than an actual photo of Superman, or it can really just be taken as like a serious photo of Superman, just like, you know, getting into him mentally and knowing like this is what it's like to be Superman. There's never really a time where you get to kick your boots off. In fact, in this specific moment, it almost feels like a moment he's about to sit down and he's about to finally kick his boots off, and then suddenly look what's going on behind him. That's the vibe I get from this, and it's definitely something that you know, it's something they explore in my adventures with Superman in one specific episode where Superman is just overexerting himself. And I'm curious if that's going to be one of the themes of this movie. Like, maybe we're not going to get Superman at his best because he's trying so hard to always be the Superman that everyone wants, always trying to be everywhere all at once. And that could also be why we have so many superheroes in this movie, despite it being a Superman solo film. You know, we have it because, you know, he's not just, you know, saving the day in Metropolis. He's saving the day in other places that's not even really his, for lack of better term, jurisdiction, I guess you could say. So, you know, and I get all this just from looking at this photo and how it can mean so many different things. And that's what I think the number one great thing about this photo. So my least favorite part about the photo itself is that the suit isn't my favorite, but I don't think it's a bad suit. It's just not what I personally would have gone for. So I rambled on a lot. Let's hear what you
no.
have to say.
No, I appreciate hearing all your thoughts on this story. That's why I gave you the opportunity to talk on it, man. But I, you know, I would agree with you in regards to like where he's at right now, because when I look at this, it feels very much like he's a Superman that like literally just got home. He had a long day. He laid down on the bed and he's like, oh damn it, I gotta do this again. And he gets back up and he's like, all right, I gotta put my shoes back on. Like, homeboy hasn't even had a chance to relax, you know. So I really do, and like I really do like what the vibes that this picture kind of gives off. You know, somebody asked me after I did the review, one of the comments somebody said is, you know, would you rather your Superman be relatable or be ideal, in the sense of like being showcased in the sense of like perfectness, you know, like this godlike kind of entity? And I said, I think in a movie you can easily do both, but I do think that it's fascinating that James Gunn chose this image to represent his Superman, because I do think first looks kind of give a vibe as to what you can kind of expect, and this just feels very every like every man sort of day, like put in your work boots on, getting ready to go back out there, like trying to make him very much more relatable, sitting down instead of hovering over a city or over a group of people, like showcasing himself as like this perfect person. Whereas this feels like it's one of the more humanistic like perspectives of Superman that I've seen in a really long time. And so I definitely do feel it's photo that's very much more relatable than some of the other first looks that we've kind of had. So I really enjoy it. I think I would agree with you, like because you mentioned the idea that like the way that the costume folds, like it clearly feels like it's a suit more or less than like just spandex or like tights or something like that. So at least that's what the top feels like. So I am kind of curious, since it does have red trunks, how visually it'll look. If that was a good choice or a bad choice, but I definitely do get a lot of um, New 52 vibes from it. Just even some of the lines along his arms and his suit. The S symbol being very much a Kingdom Come influence, and I think James Gunn really just put a lot of different eras of Superman influence into this one costume. But just from the photo, I am a fan of the high collar, despite I know you not being necessarily a fan. But if anything, it'll be interesting to see how it looks kind of come full circle in live action. But I do think it's an interesting first look. I appreciate him going the more relatable route with having Superman sit down, looking like he's putting on his boots, getting ready to go back and go back out and save the world. And it does look like I don't want to say he's run down, but very weary. Like this man has been fighting, if not in Metropolis, then all over the world, for hours. And it just, for me, it just goes to show like being Superman never ends for him. And so I think if anything, we'll definitely probably explore the human nature of Superman and his relatability, and also seeing sort of the godlike entity that he is in James Gunn. So I'm hoping that this showcase some level of balance for who we'll get as Superman in the movie.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, the idea of this movie being able to do both. He can be larger than life and relatable. I do think, it definitely takes a lot of creative writing to do so, but I definitely believe that that is a possibility. You can definitely get away with that. And I'd say just look at what Superman and Lois does, for example, with how that show handles making Superman both feel like someone who should be like an example for people. He's also a very relatable character as well, especially with him having like kind of a very grounded home life. So I hope we get something like that with this version of Superman. Obviously, I don't want him to be in the same timeline as like Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, because obviously, again, James Gunn does mention this is a younger Superman, but I want to see that level of relatability to a young man probably just moving into the big city, trying to really find his place in the world.
Yeah, there was also I am going to be curious as to David Corn Sweat's performance here as Superman and Clark Kent. And I remember so I wind up coming across a video the other day showcasing a performance from Christopher Reeves in the first Superman movie that really made me appreciate his role as Superman, I think, even a little bit more. And for me, it was they showcased how within a 25-second time period, he goes from changing from Superman into Clark Kent. Like the great shot was him coming back from flying Lois around and you bringing her back to an apartment. He leaves and he flies around the building, and the camera doesn't cut, from what I can tell. And as she's daydreaming about him, she hears a knock at the door. She goes and she opens the door, and it's Christopher Reeves as Clark Kent in like his tux and his glasses and his hair kind of slicked back. And you can just see like the mannerisms and how he holds himself. He's a little bit more hunched over. Definitely, the way he speaks is definitely much more nerdy sort of thing. And he talking really fast because he's nervous and anxious and stuff, and Lois goes to get ready. And as she's getting ready, he decides, I'm going to tell her I'm Superman. And so he takes off his glasses and his posture changes. He becomes broader in the shoulders. His voice is much more confident. And then as she comes back, he kind of shrinks back into himself and puts his glasses back on and goes back into the Clark Kent. And I feel like sometimes that's kind of missed at times in regards to a portrayal of a great Superman and Clark Kent. Some people can really nail that, others certainly can't. And so for me, I would be kind of curious to see like if James Gunn takes any of those influences from Christopher Reeves and really gives us sort of two different personality traits of Superman and Clark Kent, and how David Corenswet can really kind of pull that off. So I'm kind of fascinated. I'm kind of fascinated to see that.
I definitely want to circle back to that because you are absolutely right. But first, I want to bring up these two comments we got. First one reminds me of the DCAU Superman outfit before he fought Doomsday, unless I'm remembering the suit wrong, which is possible. No, that's pretty much the suit because it's also based on the New 52 kind of suit. Again with the collar. That's kind of where that came from, was New 52, and that's what the because I assume you're talking about the animated movie universe. That's where a lot of the DC character designs came from, was from New 52. But yeah, so it is very, very similar to that. And then the next one, we got another super chat. This
Hey,
one from Frankie.
Frankie. Thank you,
Um,
Frankie. Appreciate you, man.
and I definitely agree. I cannot wait to hear David Cornsweat's first interview in regards
Yeah.
to Superman.
Yeah.
But in regards to Lex Luthor, so our actor, I totally forgot his name, but the actor who we have
Nicholas
cast,
Holt.
Nicholas Holt, yes. So if you want to see a really great interview with him about his upcoming performance as Lex Luthor, I recommend listening to the Michael Rosenbaum podcast, Inside of You.
Mm.
But anyways, it's a great interview because you got Michael Rosenbaum, original Lex, or not original, but Smallville Lex Luthor, and you got him kind of like talking about what it was like being Lex Luthor with the new up and coming Lex Luthor. And obviously he's not allowed to say too much, but he gives some insight, which I thought was pretty unique. It's especially hearing that the very first version of Lex Luthor that he saw was Michael Rosenbaum's version of the character.
Wow.
And
Okay.
you take that on top of the fact that at one point James Gunn did say that Michael Rosenbaum is his favorite version of Lex
Lex.
Luthor. There is a possibility we might be getting a little bit of that version of Lex within our new Lex Luthor, but definitely recommend checking out that interview. But
It's so interesting just how generational it is.
oh my gosh, yeah. It's so funny to think like Smallville is like that old now that it's become like a generational show
God.
now.
Yeah.
But circling back to what you were saying about like, comparing like with Christopher Reeve, and one thing that Christopher Reeve does really well at is that he kind of plays it as three different characters. And I think this is how you kind of got to do it if you're going to be playing Superman. You got to play three characters. You're first of all, you're playing Clark Kent, which is how you want people to see you outside the suit. So it's still not necessarily truly who he is, because he's making himself come off as a lot weaker, coming off as a lot more like just an everyday guy that no one would look twice at and assume that this guy could possibly have powers. So you got to get that right. You then got to get Superman right, because this is the guy that's going to be in front of the cameras. This is the guy that he's basically portraying a portion of himself that he wants the world to see. He wants to give people hope, but he's also trying to constantly make sure he's doing the right thing, saying the right thing. He's trying too hard to be perfect when you're Superman, right? And then you also need to be Kal-El. Kal-El, I think, is the true Clark Kent and Superman. This is who he is when he's hanging his cape up, when he's interacting with Jonathan or Martha Kent, or, if this is a timeline after Lois Lane knows that Clark Kent is Superman, this is who he is with Lois Lane, when he's not wearing the cape, when he's, not in front of other people. This is his true self, that only very few people in Clark Kent's life actually get to see. So it's three characters you're essentially playing when you play the role of Superman. And Christopher Reeve does that amazingly. And I do think that James Gunn, along with God, how did I forget his name already? We were just
David
David
Cornswet.
Cornsweat. Yeah, sorry, David Cornsweat. It's something that I know like the two of them have the potential to really delve into.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought it would be fun too. because this is our very first look at a shout out real quick to Y Arc for joining us, man, saying Superman and Lois best superhero series this year.
Yes.
Yeah, he's Stuart's been reviewing the show for us. He's absolutely loved it. But since this is in fact our first look, I thought it would be interesting to kind of go back in time and look at some of the other first looks at Superman in regards to their very first
Ooh.
reveals to the public. Well, real quick before, because the internet always wins. And anytime you get a first look image, if people are divisive against it, they always gotta Photoshop these images into other just crazy ass images. And we got for this David Corn sweat one, we got a lot of shoe store. We got a lot of shoe store ones in here as he's trying on his different trying on his different shoes and whatnot. I just thought it was priceless. The internet continues to win each and every time, man.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
I thought those are great. But going back to our very first Superman and George Reeves here, this was his first look publication photo of him in his Superman costume for the very first time. I don't even know what year this was. It had to be what, like 39, 40, 43 maybe, or some shit like that, something crazy. After that, we got Christopher Reeves in his first look image that was released to the public. Very iconic, man. Especially, I think, if you come in from reading comic books. I mean, it does feel like you've kind of just ripped this man right out of the comic book page. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, like, you know how I was praising David Cornsweat's photo for looking Photoshop. This I got to praise for looking like a painting.
Yeah, it does look like a painting, doesn't it? Like some Alex Ross shit. But
Yes.
it does look like this is probably Christopher Reeves clearly standing on a balcony in New York outside of Central Park or something like that. I got no idea, but I love the landscape in the background for that one. After that, believe it or not, we got Dean Cain. Dean Cain was once a Superman, y'all. This was his first look image released to a public. I don't remember if this was like out of an Entertainment Weekly magazine or People's Magazine or what, but there's a part of me that kind of remembers this image as a first look for Dean Cain Superman. Also, I used to love the adventures of Superman and or Lois and Clark. If you guys have ever watched the series, I wonder if it's got to be on a streaming service somewhere, right?
I last I checked, it was on HBO Max.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Then we also have Brandon Routh Superman from Superman Returns.
This one I remember.
Yeah, this one I definitely remember also. I think I was like, why is the emblem so small? But yeah, it definitely grew on me. But this was definitely much more I think Superman Returns. I don't was that was meant to be a sequel to the first Superman, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It was like meant to be a sequel to Superman 2 that ignored the events of Superman 3 and 4.
Ah, yes. Okay, gotcha. That's what it is. Nathan says that first Superman looks like someone I went to school with. Ah.
Hmm.
And then just to be fair for Brandon Routh, because he had the opportunity to play, this character twice. I thought the first look for him as Superman in Crisis or the Hourverse was rather appropriate. This was such a badass suit, man.
It's like funny how it's like the timeline between when these came out, it wasn't even that much of a jump, but it's so funny how he looks like he's aged, and I don't mean this in a bad way, like in a good way, like with how much muscle he's gotten on over the years. And yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive. And shout out also to Tyler Hoechlin, Hoechlin, however you pronounce his name. This was his first reveal, believe it or not. And I think the internet shit all over this this image. I remember not being a big fan of it. I remember being, first off, the lens flares is way too much.
Mhm.
And I rather would have had him just have his own individual photo. I know he was making his debut in the season of Supergirl, and so that's why they put him alongside Supergirl, but I really would have preferred just his own solo image. But this Tyler does not look like the Tyler that we got now, like at all. And this was I don't know who photoshopped it or who picked this image as the best one, but I did not care for this first look.
The I I know that one of the earlier first looks, when we did get like a more closer up of Tyler Hoechlin, I remember one of my biggest issues was like just the lighting of it made him look so pale, like it seemed more like he
Yeah,
was playing Bizarro.
Bizarro, yeah. He looks so skinny in this one too, man. He looks so much smaller. Blossom going talking about the second Superman looks like a classic cartoon. Yeah, he does.
Mm.
He looks straight ripped out. And then last but not least, we got Henry Cavill's very first look coming to us from Zack Snyder. You definitely felt the aura and power of what this Man of Steel was certainly going to be in its movies, and he definitely didn't let us down. But that was Henry Cavill's also.
I think of all of those, Christopher Reeve's first look is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I Christopher Reeves and Brandon Routh for me are probably my favorite first looks that we've gotten so far, honestly. So yeah, I'm right in line with you. But this is our David Corn sweat Superman now. Great first image. You know, I don't have a problem with people that have issues with maybe like is this pose the right one that you should have chosen, right? I just think James Gunn could have gone in so many different directions in regards to how he wants to represent his Superman, but I do think there's a lot of thought going into why this is his first choice. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts in regards to some of these fantastic first looks that we've had so far. What does Marcelino say? He said, at least Tyler Suk, I can I can't see a damn thing when Henry. Oh, I can see, but I
Oh,
can't see a damn thing when Henry Cavill's. Yeah, Henry Cavill's was pretty tough to kind of see. But yeah, maybe he wants to show off his physique, the power behind him, sort of thing, you know. But pretty interesting. With that out of the way, though, guys, let's go ahead and get into our next topic. We're going to stay in the world of DC here as we got ourselves an animated series to look forward to, guys. For those of you who don't recall, Bruce Timm, I think along with Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams, was putting together a animated series by the name of Batman Cape Crusader. And surprisingly, this is a series that HBO Max eventually decided they were going to sell off to another company. I am kind of curious as to why they didn't want to go ahead and hold on to this series for themselves. But, you know, don't put all your eggs into one basket. There's certainly nothing wrong with giving the rights out to other streaming services just to kind of protect yourself a little bit and, you know, put some of your content on other platforms. And that's exactly what happened here, as Prime Video has in fact officially picked up Batman Cape Crusader. And this week, believe it or not, man, we got our very first look, Stuart. We got some brand new images to showcase for you guys today, along with Entertainment Weekly article that really breaks down from Bruce Timm and the character designer about what we can expect from this series. This is when I look at this costume, Stuart, I harken back to the great black and white Batman series of old. Is that what you kind of get from this too?
I mean, it's basically almost an exact recreation of the original Detective comic suit. Just instead of the purple gloves, we get like the black gloves, which of course look way better because purple and
Oh yeah.
black and gray just don't work together. So I think the color, so different color scheme and that art style, which of course I'm sure the article will get into. The art style looking exactly like Bruce Timm's classic, Batman the animated series.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and bring up this article for you guys, and we will break this down. And again, we got more images to kind of show you if you guys haven't had the opportunity. But this comes to us from Entertainment Weekly. Now they got all these damn ads. Why they got all these things popping up all the time? Like, no, I don't want to buy your items. First off, I am interested by why they went with this as the title for their Entertainment Weekly. Batman Cape Crusader first look reveals Asian American Harley Quinn in really weird Dark Knight. Like what? That's how you present all this information. That's pretty crazy. But it says Batman has been around for more than 80 years now, and in that time, Bob Kane and Bill Finger's Dark Vigilante has been the subject of countless comic books, cartoons, and movies. Given the variety of interpretations, it's hard to say that any one of them are definitive, but the Batman the animated series comes close. It says creator Bruce Timm They talked to him, but he wanted to do things very differently this time. Batman Crusader was first announced as an HBO Max series in 2021 and was then saved by Amazon Prime Video after Max eventually passed on the project. It is now set to debut later this year. In a new interview with Entertainment Weekly, Tim and the character designer James Tucker says that the number one priority of Batman Cape Crusader was making sure that it wasn't just a repeat of Batman the Animated Series. The best way to do that, they decided, was to make the new show fully a 40s set period piece rather than repeating the anachronistic, I probably just destroy that world, word jumble of computers and payphones that defined Batman the Animated Series. So this is being set in the 40s, Stuart.
Mhm.
That would definitely explain maybe the why they went with this particular design choice.
Definitely. That's actually like the number one thing that got me, well, not maybe not the number one thing, but it is one of the many things that got me like really excited for this, because I do think that a period piece with Batman is actually pretty brilliant, especially if you're doing it during that like classic noir era.
Yeah, absolutely. It says James and I are both really big fans of movies from that era, so we decided to really lean into that in terms of the clothes, the cars, the architecture, and level of technology. They have another image that showcases just the style of it too. Um, he says early on we decided there would be no computers and no cell phones, and that changed everything. In addition to using the 40s noir films as reference points, Tim and Tucker also have the actual Batman comics from that era, which feature the first appearance of characters like Clayface and Catwoman to draw on for inspiration. But there are also elements of the Cape Crusader that that no Batman fans have seen before. Um, so I do dig the art style and the choice. The fact that we are really going old school here, no computers, no cell phones, I think will make a even more riveting series, to be quite frank with you. It does say Harley Quinn in particular looks much different than any of her previous appearances, including her origin in the Batman animated series. The new show characterizes her as Asian American and also separates her from her longtime partner in crime. Let me go ahead and pull up the image here for Harley Quinn. Whether in her solo animated series or upcoming live action film, the Joker is still typically defined by her relationship with the Clown Prince of Crime. Tim wanted to change that. He says, I co created the character, so I have a lot of love and affection for her, but I thought there might be something interesting about bringing her on the show, just not as Joker's girlfriend, is what Bruce Timm says. He says, so how do we do that? A big part was just doing a basic flip. The original Dr. Quinzel was a little bit more serious. And then when she became Harley, she got really goofy and weird. So we thought, what if we reverse that? When she's Dr. Quinzel, maybe she's a little bit more whimsical and fun. And then when she's Harley Quinn, she's scary. And then we even have a photo of Dr. Quinzel here herself. So clearly a little bit more whimsical and fun, and definitely a much more serious Harley. It says the two halves of Harley's personality are also connected in the Cape Crusader. Instead of abandoning her day job after becoming a jester-themed supervillain, this version of Harley uses psychiatry as a weapon. Yeah, I believe that's how it says. Is what Tim teases. It says the Dr. Quinzel of Cape Crusader is a normal Gotham City psychiatrist. In fact, she gets assigned to treat none other than Bruce Wayne himself.
Oh, I love this take. And I'm so glad he brought up the whole thing of, we created the character, it's like, I know he didn't say this, but to me, it's like kind of perfect for anyone who's like, oh, how can you change Harley Quinn's backstory? It's like, he created the character. He could change it if he wants to.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. It's like I'm kind of glad that he reminded people like, hey, don't forget that this is my character. So like I can literally do whatever the F I want with this character, okay? So and look, based off of it being in the 40s and stuff, if you're really trying to separate it from what the Batman animated series was, I think this is perfect in regards. Like you definitely have to switch things up a little bit. And so I will be really curious to see different takes on her. And if anything, as somebody that visits conventions and stuff, I really kind of want to see these cosplayers take up this
Mhm.
new version of Harley Quinn, because every time I go to, there's like 50 million Harley Quinns now at every convention that you go to. So there's a part of me that really wants to see this Cape Crusader version of her. Um, it says, in doing so, she gets to experience firsthand the stranger version of Batman that Tim and Tucker wanted to explore. It's not just the costume, which harkens back to the distinct short gloves, tall boots, and heightened ears of the 40s comic rather than the sleek modern bat suit. That's different, but the psychology as well. He's a really weird human being, is what Bruce Timm says about Bruce Wayne. He says, he's not obsessed with his parents' murder, but it changed him in a way where he's still not adjusted to being a human being. He's literally Batman inside. That's who he is. Whenever he's Bruce Wayne, that's not just him with a mask on. That's him wearing a person suit. He's trying to pretend to be something that he's not. Tucker adds the idea was to keep him so removed that no one knows who he is and no one knows what he's about. We're trying to wipe out the foregone conclusion that he's a hero, whether it's for the police, regular citizens of Gotham, or the viewers.
Oh, that's interesting. I love that, like, despite this being by Bruce Timm, he seems to go out of his way to not want to be repeating anything that he's done in Batman the Animated Series. Like, good on him for that, rather than just because it'd be so easy to go by what he already knows worked with the fans. It'd be so easy to just go, well, fans loved it when I did this, and this in Batman the Animated Series, so let's bring these elements back. I like how he's not afraid to really take some, risks with this show, and curious to see how that kind of plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. It also goes on to say here, Clayface and Catwoman also get makeovers in the Cape Crusader, or more accurately, they're back to their original comic book looks. He says, what we didn't want to do the Batman the animated series Catwoman or the version of Ed Brubaker, like they did in the early 2000s with the practically leather jumpsuit, which has become her default look in the comics and movies. He says, that's great. I love that. But we wanted to do something different. So we thought, well, let's go all the way back to the beginning. I love the original look that she had in the 40s. It's purple. And you get the opportunity to kind of see the original Catwoman suit here. Tucker cites Barbara Stanwyck's performance as the title character in the Lady Eve as an inspiration for the Cape Crusaders Catwoman. This Selena Kyle is playful and charming, though Batman and the viewers underestimate her at their peril. He says that episode is very fun, but it also has moments that are really serious and dark. Bruce Timm says of Catwoman's appearance on the show, it's a juxtaposition of those two things that make the episode really cool. And I'm under the impression that this next photo here is actually Clayface. It says Clayface gets a similar retro treatment. Don't expect the shape-shifting mud monster. Instead, Cape Crusader draws on the original character's comic book appearance, inspired by classic horror movies. So that's interesting. The red mask covering the face, like I don't want to say Phantom of the Opera esque sort of thing, but like that there's a disfigured creature behind the mask sort of thing, and that kind of element. He's got a little knife with him too. I kind of dig the concept of how much they're really changing things, and really how the idea of a period piece in the 40s really just puts this whole comic book the comic book era of Batman, just kind of flips it upside down a little bit and makes it a little bit fresh. So I'm always a big fan of time, new time periods and things like that. So I'm all for this, man. I really like the way that this is looking on our first look so far.
Yeah, definitely agree. Time period piece. I love how, yeah, we get like kind of more classic designs. Catwoman, I know that they're basing it on her 40s appearance, but it definitely to me reminds me a lot of the Adam West Batman and Robin. What
Oh
what
yeah.
what she kind of looked like in that show. Um,
Yeah, when I first saw
yeah,
the Catwoman, I was like, "Is that Batgirl?" And then I go back to thinking about the Adam West one because she did wear purple on that too, if I'm not mistaken. Did she wear
yeah,
purple on that?
yeah. Both Catwoman and I believe Catwoman wore purple in that too. But her and Batgirl, I think. Let me
But yeah,
double check that now.
I
But
can't remember now.
like then the big thing too that gets me really excited is like with Harley Quinn being Bruce Wayne's therapist. Um, so one thought that I kind of had is what if like she's really good at her job to the point where Bruce Wayne actually feels comfortable opening up to her about things like him being Batman, and then that is something she could end up potentially using as leverage against him.
That's always a good yeah, that'd be an interesting route for them to go for sure. I would love to see that. And I love his mentality too about how Bruce, um, how he views Bruce Wayne along with Batman, having them really as two separate people. And the idea that he's just wearing sort of a person suit. I do feel like sometimes that's kind of lost on some people or some of the creators when they tackle Batman. But considering just his experience with the Batman character, I really like to kind of see what this side of him looks like.
Also, yeah, I think I'm wrong. I don't think she ever wore purple in Batman and Robin.
In the Adam West one.
Yeah, I think what happened is I saw a photo of you know, Catwoman, the one that you brought up, and it just looked like something that could have been in Batman and Robin, and I think my brain put in a false memory.
Let's see here. Do you think Marcelino had some comments. He says, I'm excited for Cape Crusader. My only fear is Bruce Timm. He said that the restrictions prevented from going all out, but not only that, they kept him in check. Because whenever he did something rated R, like Batman and Harley Quinn or Batman the Killing Joke, it did not go over well. Those restrictions kept him in check.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, the thing is too, when he did Batman the animated series, he was a younger up and coming creator. So I think that now that he's had all the experience and the fact that he's working alongside JJ Abrams and Matt Reeves, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, now that he's working alongside the two of them, I don't think that'll be an issue like him needing like, sensors to keep him in check or anything like that. I think he's got enough experience to where that's not going to be an issue like it would have been like when he first started writing Batman.
He does also ask, do you think they'll expand the Bat family in future seasons or just keep it regulated to just this Batman? Look, I think it clearly they had influence of the 40s. Um, and I don't know how big the Bat family got in the 40s series, but I'm pretty sure Robin had to at least have been there. I'm just also trying to think of like the classic live action series of Batman back in the 40s, and I believe there was even a Robin during that time period also. So a part of me will say maybe Robin. I just don't know if we'll expand upon that. But we'll see. We'll see. That's a good question, Marcelino.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we'll definitely get Robin, maybe not this season, but at least like next season or the season after. How it expands after that, hard to say. I would love to see like more modern Batman characters, but in that like kind of 1940s settings, like a character like Damian Wayne. If he kind of grew up in
Mm.
that area, what would he be like? Jason Todd, Tim Drake, I could say the same thing. There's a lot of potential, and it really just kind of depends on how long the show gets is allowed to keep going. I really hope the best for this show.
According also to Variety, this series is set to premiere this year, August 1st. So mark your calendars. August 1st, Batman Crepe Crusader drops on Prime Video. The streamer will also release all 10 episodes of the first season. So you're gonna have a 10 episode first season beginning August 1st. So
Awesome.
definitely look forward to that.
And yeah, Amazon has not let me down now, or has so far not let me down when it comes to its animated shows.
Animation.
Yeah, like if you've seen Has Been Hotel or Invincible, both incredible. So I got some pretty good hopes for this show.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that Max turned it down. I'm surprised
Same.
that they passed on it, quite frankly. But they're lost if this is a great show for sure.
Yeah, watch this be like what causes Amazon to have more subscribers than Max.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. You got an opportunity to see the first look at the Cape Crusader. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below, guys. And with that, Stuart, out of the way, we got two more topics before we get to live viewer questions. We will turn more to movie news in this regards. As look, guys, believe it or not, Lord of the Rings is back in the news. And while I think a lot of us are looking forward to the animated film, The War of Rohirrim, that is not why Lord of the Rings is back in the news. I believe sometime last year we might have reported that Warner Brothers had eyes on giving us brand new live action films that might have somebody like a Peter Jackson attached to it. The Lord of the Rings franchise and IP right now is definitely being dug into to try and figure out what else they can mine from some of Tolkien's work. For those of you unfamiliar, we do have a Prime Video series, The Rings of Power, that is in fact set in the second age of the Lord of the Rings franchise. But they look like they are trying to get back to actually doing films for Lord of the Rings. And we got ourselves quite the update here this week, Stuart. So I thought it would be pretty interesting, as it looks like Andy Serkis is in fact set to return. As according to Variety, it says Warner Brothers to release new Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, in 2026. Peter Jackson to produce, and Andy Serkis is getting ready to direct, believe it or not. I believe he had his directorial debut on, I believe it was Venom 2. If I'm not mistaken. So he's getting another opportunity here to reprise a role and being behind the cameras once again. It says, according to Warner Brothers, will release the first of its new batch of live action Lord of the Ring films in 2026, which will focus on Andy Serkis's Gollum. So I find that pretty interesting that we're getting the opportunity to revisit this gentleman here. It says original Lord of the Rings trilogy filmmaker Peter Jackson and his partner Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens are producing the movie and quote unquote will be involved every step of the way, is what David Zaslav said during an earnings call on Thursday. The project is currently in early stages of a script development from writers Walsh and Bowens, along with Phoebe Gittins, and will explore storylines yet to be told. I am curious as to what that necessarily means here, but it does at least reaffirm that Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens will in fact be are putting together an early stage of the script. In the press release from Warner Brothers later Thursday morning, the studio revealed the working title for the film is Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum, and will be directed by and star Andy Serkis as his title character. The film will be executive produced by some others here. And yeah, they first announced this back in February of 2023. We definitely talked to you guys about that story here. Then they also have mentioned the idea that the Lord of the Rings War of Rohirrim is due on December 13th. So we do still have ourselves a Lord of the Rings animated movie that's coming out. It says for 2 decades, moviegoers have embraced the Lord of the Rings film trilogy because of the undeniable devotion that Peter, Fran, and Philippa have shown towards protecting the legacy of Tolkien's work and to ensure audiences could experience that incredible world he created in a way that honors his literary vision. We are honored to have agreed. Um, where did it go? We are honored to have agreed to be partners on these 2 new films, is what they say. 2 new films. Maybe that means War of Rohirrim and The Hunt for Gollum. With Andy coming on board to direct The Hunt for Gollum, we continue an important commitment to excellence that is a true hallmark for how we want to venture ahead and further contribute to the Lord of the Rings cinematic history. Jackson, Walsh, and Bowens also added, "It's an honor to be privileged to travel back to Middle Earth with our good friend and collaborator, Andy Serkis, who has unfinished business with Gollum. As lifelong fans of Professor Tolkien's vast mythology, we are proud to be working with everybody on another epic adventure." So yeah, Lord of the Rings is in fact back. You know what's fascinating, and I meant to look at this, Stuart, before we even got into this topic today, and that's bad journalism on my part. I should have looked at it before we got into this, but I actually saw that there's a fan film from back in 2009 titled "The Hunt for Gollum." Um, it's funny because remember Marcelino was talking to us about the idea of yeah, yeah. Remember Marcelino was talking to us about how Prey. Some people were saying, "Oh, Prey ripped off this fan film that was kind of made." I wonder if those same arguments are now going to be made too for the Hunt of Gollum. So I plan on watching it later on today or sometime this week, but I do want to see what this fan film is for the Hunt of Gollum because I am kind of curious if anything when this takes place, there when this film would take place, because my idea is, is this story still a part of what Tolkien said? Are there appendices where, it's got a little bit more of Gollum's journey during the original trilogy that they can kind of harken back to and have a story that is kind of yet to have been told? Um, when it says the hunt for Gollum, I don't know why, but there's a part of me, I think, in the Fellowship of the Ring, if I'm not mistaken, where Gandalf tries to find the creature. And it comes to find out he's been captured, and one of the towers kind of being tortured to be told like who has the ring, and this is where he reveals like Bilbo Baggins or the Shire. So I'm wondering, like, is this a story of them trying to find Gollum during that particular time from the original trilogy? I'm trying to think of another moment in the trilogy where maybe Gollum like vanished or we didn't see him after that. But Gollum's a pretty active part of the trilogy come the Two Towers and Return of the King. We don't really lose sight of him to kind of ask that question. So I do wonder where in the time period this falls into, if this is taking place between the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or is this taking place during the activities of the Fellowship of the Ring and trying to hunt down for Gollum to see like if they can find him before Sauron's people do? So again, I am kind of curious how original of a script this is, or if there are really taking work from Tolkien. If there was any other more story that might have been told of Gollum, maybe you guys, if you're big Tolkien heads and you guys know more about any other Gollum stories, I would be kind of curious, because I was kind of scratching my head in the sense of like, well, what else is there kind of left to be told? So I am very much curious as to the path that they'll go here. But Stuart, do you have any thoughts on this one?
You pretty much just kind of said it all. Yeah, like there's really nothing about this that excites me, if I'm being honest. I
Maybe.
mean, I love Andy Serkis and I love his portrayal as Gollum, but like you kind of said, what story is there to tell? Like the only thing I could think of is that, yes, like you mentioned, a movie that takes place between The Hobbit and Fellowship. So like a prequel to Fellowship. But even then, like where could a story like that go? And I'm sure they wouldn't be working on this if they didn't have a good story in mind. But yeah, for me, I'm not seeing anything to get hyped about when it comes to this. This really just feels like Warner Brothers desperately trying to shoot out Lord of the Ring content, and only because their competitors are doing it for no other reason. It's like they're either trying to compete and have like a dick measuring contest with Amazon, or they're trying to mooch off of Amazon's success doing okay, so you know what like mockbusters are, right?
Yeah.
So like one of the big purposes of mockbusters is they really want to trick you into thinking this is at the very least tie-in material to whatever big movies out there. Like, this isn't Transformers, but it's connected to Transformers. So you got to watch this movie in order to understand Transformers. That's how they market the Transmorpher series and all those others. That's what this feels like. This feels like they're trying to bank off the success of the Amazon Lord of the Rings show, trying to go, oh, hey, this is totally tied to that, without directly saying that it's tied to that, because obviously, legally they have to be completely separated at the moment. But that's what it kind of comes off to me as. Again, nothing I'm excited about when it comes to this announcement.
Yeah, no, I can definitely get that. There are elements that feel like it could be um definitely like milking the franchise for certainly all it's worth, a little bit more for sure. Nathan in here says, and I believe this is in regards to the Lord of the Rings stuff. He says, could be interesting. I'll watch it. I'd also like some new original ideas from all these studios.
Mm.
He says, need new original IP. Yeah, we definitely do. But it is one of those things where I think um, Zaslav's strategy is to kind of fall back on big franchises that have made them money, which is, maybe one of the reasons why they're even revisiting Harry Potter, in regards to retelling that story, but in television form. And now doing the same thing here with Lord of the Rings. I think if there's anything promising for me that comes out of this is, I loved Andy Serkis as Gollum. I thought he did brilliant. I would be interested to see how his next directorial position works out for him. I do get some reassurance in the sense of Peter Jackson, Fran and Philippa certainly coming back. I do think if there's anybody that will hold true to what Tolkien's vision certainly was for this world and this franchise, it's definitely them. But I am just kind of curious, like where are we going with this, guys? So I hope within the next couple of months, once they start, actually etching out a more solidified script of what this movie is going to be. Maybe we'll get some more details to figure out the time placement of all this. I would, for people that are very big Tolkienites, if that's what they refer to, I would be kind of curious, like, if this isn't even related to any of Tolkien's work, there's a part of me that would be surprised because Peter Jackson and them just have such a high regard for Tolkien's work. Like, there's a part of me that feels like it would be odd for them to create something original in this world. And so I feel like there's got to be an adventure or a movie, or, an adventure or a story of Gollum that's hidden somewhere in Tolkien's work that they're like, hey, this would be really interesting to kind of expand upon. Because I have a feeling like people that are big Tolkien fans would maybe be a little bit upset in the idea of like, well, this wasn't part of Tolkien's story. You're creating something completely new now, and might have some pushback. But I haven't really heard that. But then again, I don't really hang out in those circles. But I would be interested to see or hear if they've had any issues with this or where this story might be coming from. So maybe I'll have to do some more research in regards to it, though.
Yeah, I think maybe that's it. If I was like a bigger Lord of the Rings I would know. Oh, actually, this would tie in perfectly with this, similar Silmarillions novel or something like that. Maybe, but yeah, I think like the thing is when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I'm very much a casual fan. Like I love the movies. I've read The Hobbit, but I have not read any of the Lord of the Rings books. And even with even though I just said I love the movies, I also didn't really love the Hobbit trilogy. I thought the first one was pretty good. And then I thought the second and third one were just like, especially the third one was actually pretty bad to my opinion.
Yeah, I'm a huge trilogy Lord of the Rings trilogy fan for sure. But I like you, I didn't really care for The Hobbit so much. The first movie was pretty enjoyable though. I will say that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see where this lands. I personally am looking forward to the Rings of Power season 2. I'll definitely be bringing you guys my review for that season when it drops also. But a lot of Tolkien content out there for you guys to enjoy. But let us know your thoughts. How are you feeling about a new Lord of the Rings movie? Is it something you're anticipating? Are you like Stu, you don't really care for? We definitely would love to know your guys' thoughts, and we'll keep you updated on any new developments. And with that out of the way, let's get into our last topic as we wrap this one up, Stuart. As we got some new Star Wars news, baby. I'm glad I got you on board here, Stuart, to geek out with me a little bit in regards to Star Wars. As one Star Wars film that we know is set to go ahead and get into development this year is coming to us from Jon Favreau, who's going to be giving us The Mandalorian and Grogu. They said, "Can we get a season 4?" And he said, "Hold up a minute. How about we give you a movie instead?" So I am still trying to figure out if this is meant to be a season 4, but it was just so big and ambitious that they needed to turn it into a movie, or if we're going to get a movie and then a season 4, or hell, maybe they're just like, you know what? Mando belongs on the big screen from now on. I will be really curious to kind of see where this develops. But as we get closer to filming for Mandalorian and Grogu this summer, we do have ourselves a brand new update when it comes to casting. And boy, is this a big one, Stuart. I've been hearing some really big praises. This is from Deadline.com as they inform us that Sigourney Weaver is in fact in talks to join the new Star Wars movie Mandalorian and Grogu. Let me find out that Ripley in the Alien franchise is connected to Star Wars Mando. I might lose my ish, man. But it's all connected, y'all. It's all connected at this point. But
oh god, if they really wanted to disturb all the younger audiences, they would have Grogu get impregnated by a xenomorph. They'll just get like a weird Grogu xenomorph hybrid.
Yo, that's
Oh
bananas.
god, would that mean the xenomorphs would be able to use the Force?
Yes, that would be
Now
disturbing.
that would be an awesome what if comic book. I wouldn't want that to be canon, but I would love to see Dark Horse make because they used to do like alien crossovers with all sorts of properties. I would love to see an alien crossover with Star Wars produced by Dark Horse.
I'm gonna need some fan art now. I'm gonna need some fan art to kind of see what this is gonna look like. But yeah, according to them, it says Sigourney Weaver's in talks to return to space for a key role in the next Star Wars movie. Jon Favreau is directing the film as well as producing alongside Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy. Production is slated to start later this year in advance of an expected release date of May 22, 2026. Plot details are unknown, as well as who Sigourney Weaver will be playing. Lucasfilm had no comment. This will mark the first Star Wars film since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, which grossed over $1 billion. For Weaver, this marks yet another quest to deep space following her smash hits with the Alien and Avatar franchises. And Jeff Snyder actually reported the news first before Deadline wind up picking this up. I'm really a big fan of Sigourney Weaver as an actress. So personally, I think this is really a huge win. And maybe because of the fact that she's got an affinity for being in space, maybe she thought to herself the idea of jumping on board this just kind of works with whatever she's kind of been up to lately. But to me, it makes me believe, Stuart, like this script has got to be pretty damn good. If you're gonna bring Sigourney Weaver on board, unless she's just like at that age where it's just like, I'm just gonna do anything right now and expand my horizons. But I just don't know if she would. I don't want to say she would put her career at risk, but I think she's pretty smart about the projects that she attaches herself to. And so for me, this does give me confidence that the Mando and Grogu movie, there might be something here in regards to it. But I'm kind of curious as to who she's going to end up playing. Let the speculation certainly begin. I'm under the impression it's probably going to be a brand new character in here, not somebody that we've seen before. But villain, hero. When I first thought this, I don't know why, Stuart, but I went back to thinking of the Tatooine engineer, and I was like, is she taking over for that role, but for the big screen sort of thing? Anytime that we've seen,
man, I hope not.
every time that we've seen Mando go to Tatooine, he bumps into this engineer and stuff. I personally really like her quirkiness and her personality, so I don't think that's the case. I was just kind of being funny, but I could easily see Sigourney Weaver playing a villain playing a villain role for Star Wars in here instead of a good guy. But I don't know. How are you feeling about this, Stuart?
I feel like she's gonna be in some way, shape, or form related to kind of the Clone Wars era of the Mandalorian. So
Mm.
whether it's that she's probably part of Death Watch, or that she might be like a offspring of the Duchess that no one knew about, or something like that. I
Ooh.
feel like I feel like I'm 90% confident to say that she's probably going to play a Mandalorian.
Interesting. Yeah, I can kind of see that too. Maybe she's got a little bit of resemblance of Katie Sackhoff. Maybe there's some connection there between these two characters. Also, I have no idea, man. But we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this, man. I think this is a really good pickup for Star Wars. What do you think, though?
Yeah, definitely. So I really loved the first two seasons of The Mandalorian, and even though I didn't love season 3 of The Mandalorian, I thought it was all right. I just think it was rushed more than anything. I think that like because there was so much you know I don't want to say filler because the show is meant to be mostly episodic, but because there was like a lot of episodic episodes taking up a good chunk of the season, it kind of felt like they really rushed the overall takeover of Mandalore, and it just
Mm.
happened like way too fast. So that was like my biggest complaint with season 3. But I do see a lot of potential in the movie, and as long as they got good stories to tell, I hope it means that after this movie we still get a season 4 of The Mandalorian, because as long as John Favreau and Dave Filoni still want to do the show, I want to still see it. I want to see it keep going. As long as they're having fun writing it, I'll have fun watching it.
Yeah, I've been a really big fan of The Mandalorian. I think if anything, if I have any concern, it would just be the idea of now bringing it to the big screen. How many people have actually watched The Mandalorian? How are you going to introduce these characters into sort of like a brand new world, kicking it off? Do people need to do homework for the past 3 seasons to kind of understand what's going on? I'm hoping there's like an opening crawl here too, to kind of help get us established as to where we are, because season 3 very much ended in a sense of Grogu and Mando finally being able to kind of kick up their feet, having a home, some land to themselves. It definitely felt like a little bit of an end or wrapping up of a story. So I do wonder if this is like an epic beginning to sort of new adventures for them, one that can kind of only be told on the big screen. So I do think there's plenty more story left to certainly be told. So we'll see how this goes. Sharp Shadowrun says, I'm excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Me too. I'm kind of curious to see what ideas he certainly has. John Farrell certainly has up his sleeve. Nathan says, Kathleen Kennedy says she's not going anywhere. Yeah, she's stuck around. And I'm sure people from 5 years ago are still putting, she's going to get fired any minute now.
Mhm.
Still on that.
Same people have been saying this since 2014, before The Force Awakens even came out.
Yeah, man. They're still always after her head, and she's still sticking around, man. So yeah, but yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to how do you like the idea of Sigourney Weaver joining the Star Wars franchise? Any ideas, predictions, speculations as to who you think she certainly might be playing in here? Good guy, bad guy, a role we've seen before, particular species? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below.
I'm going with villain.
Yeah, I'm thinking villain for some reason.
Same.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. And with that, that will wrap up all of our live viewer question. Oh, excuse me, all our main topics for the day. So thank you very much for everybody that talked with us, left your conversations in here, debated with us. We always love bouncing ideas off of you guys. But now I think it's time for our next segment of the day. You ready, Stuart?
Always. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And how do you submit a live viewer question? Again, just go over to our YouTube page. Let me bring this up here for you guys just to show you. Go to our YouTube channel page, as you see right here, A Plus Hero Report. Click on that community tab. And every Saturday, we will, in fact, be posting a live viewer question post. In fact, actually, I did a poll this week. What would you grade Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Out of 7 votes so far, we got 71% an A plus to an A minus. Looks like we might have one vote for B plus to B minus and C plus to C minus. Can you? I think mine was the B plus to B minus. But yeah, we got a couple of votes there. But this is the live viewer question segment right here, guys. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. Sort these out by new, and let's tackle these. Stuart, you ready, man?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can put on some music first. Let me get this a little bit lower here. Let me start this. Where are you at, buddy? All right. That might sound a little grainy at first. Usually, all right. Too loud. Let me bring down just a smidge. Okay, I think we're good to go. All right.
Yeah.
Jessica Friedman, do you think X-Men 97 could get a 4th and 5th season? And would you like to see Supergirl get her own animated series one day? I would be down for an animated Supergirl series for sure. Maybe after, if they wrapped up Superman or My Adventures with Superman, maybe give me an animated Supergirl series. I don't know how I would feel about them both at the same time. But maybe whenever My Adventures with Superman wraps up, maybe, unless it's something like after we get the Woman of Tomorrow series, maybe they feel confident of having it like on HBO, on Max or something as an animated series that's connected to the show itself. I'd be kind of game for that. But would you want one at the same time, Stuart, as you have My Adventures of Superman, or you wouldn't really care for a Supergirl animated series?
Oh, yeah, I'd be down for one. I like that they're about to introduce her within My Adventures with Superman season 2. So I think that if they wanted to give her a spinoff show, that would work. Just, please, again, not that Supergirl is a bad show. Just don't make the same mistake that Supergirl made in making her basically a female Clark Kent. Just make her, her own character. Make her, more like the comic book version of the character, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as far as do I think X-Men 97 could get a 4th and 5th season? Yeah, absolutely. I think if it continues to stay on this trajectory, we know we're going to be getting ourselves a 3rd season. And I think I believe I've read someplace where they have mentioned the idea like, hey, we really want this show just to continue going for as long as people are watching it for. So as long as it stays true, I think season 3, 4, and 5 are certainly not out of the question.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with how much praise this show has been getting,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Also, Marcelino. Why is this? Okay, I don't know why this does this to me sometimes, Stuart, where it doesn't give me the read more option. Let me try this again. Yeah, why is it not giving me? Can you see the read more option for Marcelino's question?
I don't think there is one. I think that is the full question. I think we're just so used to them being paragraphs.
But it's got 3 dots at the end. I feel like there's more.
Let me check. For the first time, I actually don't have it up on my screen. Let me bring that up on my screen real quick. That's kind of funny. I just noticed our thumbnail looks slightly similar to Comic Book Cast's thumbnail that they're using for their podcast.
What? Really?
Yeah, not in like just in the sense that we both use the same Kevin Feige image and the same Superman image. Nothing else though.
Oh, okay.
Not like they're like either one's copying the other. Just notice that they look kind of similar is all.
Damn.
Because I think, yes, we're talking about the same stuff that they're probably talking about. Oh, wait, I do have a read more on this. Okay, yeah, here it is.
Marcelino, okay, can you read? I'll pull the thing back up, but if you can read the, because it is not pulling up on my side for some strange, odd reason. I really don't know why that is, but so I can get the first question at least. What are your thoughts on the Dominic Purcell's reasons for leaving Legends? Because he felt that over time his character was emasculated. Have you heard that before, Stuart?
No, I hadn't heard that. I actually would have thought that would I don't know. He just seemed like a guy with that kind of sense of humor. So I honestly kind of thought that was like just as much his ideas as the writers. But his character definitely changed. I don't know if I use the word emasculated per se. I would just say that like mostly because like I don't know, when it comes to masculinity and everything, I feel like my definition of it is different than most other people's. I feel like everyone probably has their own personal definition of what it means. So that's why I personally want to use that. But I would say that they definitely changed his character a lot. Took him from being like this more serious, like even though he was always kind of dumb character from The Flash, there was still kind of that more terrifying element to him. The fact that he burned his parents alive and that he loves burning victims alive. You know, they definitely took that away from him, but I would call that more development than anything else. And they made him goofier, like very much more Flanderized, but I also feel like that's just how TV shows go after several seasons. If anything, that's what happened to his character. He didn't I don't think they emasculated him, they Flanderized him.
I would be kind of curious if you do, Marcelino, if you have a link to the where he states that, or like a YouTube interview or an article or something like that where he actually states that, because I haven't heard that one before. I mean, he seems like he really enjoyed his time as the character from some of the interviews that I have certainly seen in the past. But I would agree with you too, Stuart, in the sense that I don't know if I would call it emasculated so much as it is just sort of character growth. You know, I think sometimes it can get kind of boring to just be the same old. And I think when you've been around for a show for so long, or just on, seasons, and you come up to different characters, I think characters all learn different life lessons and have different experiences on that show that I think would eventually change you, certainly as a person. I don't know if that emasculates you or that just makes you still the man that you are, but you've grown a little bit, or you've added more to your personality per se. I don't think that makes him less of a man, just maybe somebody who doesn't who doesn't hold on to things as much as he used to and approaches life a little bit differently, But to be fair, I never got the opportunity to finish Legends of Tomorrow. I think Stuart could probably speak a little bit more to that than I certainly could. But I mean, I guess that kind of surprises me a little bit, but I can understand his character having changed over the season. Whether or not that's the reason why he left, that I don't know. But I would definitely need to hear him say that or read an article where he stated that. But yeah, I would be kind of curious. And then do you have the second and third question?
I do indeed. I know the Lost Sisters episode of Stranger Things is the worst episode of the series, but what did you think of the sister Callie Prasad as a character? Man, it's been so long since I've seen that episode. I couldn't even tell you, honestly. She is a great character in a terribly written episode, or a bad character in a terribly is she a great character in a terribly written episode, or a bad character in a terribly written episode? Yeah, it has been way too long since I've seen that episode, so I barely remember anything about her as a character. I just remember, I think I'm with the internet in saying that was one of my least favorite episodes of Stranger Things. I'm
kind of in the same boat with you. I'm trying to remember the episode. I just remember them like escaping or bumping into Millie Bobby Brown's character and realizing like they're kind of all connected in the sense of having experiments kind of done to them. I understand. I think I barely remember their motives a little bit. It wasn't an episode that I really cared for. I personally thought that season in general was a little bit rough at times. So if anything, I would probably say a good character just in a terribly written episode per se. There might have been more that they could have explored with her, but clearly I don't even think they even referenced her after that season, and it just kind of went on telling the rest of the story. I don't remember if they ever went back to her as a character. I mean, I know they went back to other patients that were being used, but I don't think they ever name dropped her again after that season. So maybe I don't even know if I would say a good character, but a character with potential, just in a terribly written episode. I'll probably land on that. It's just been a minute since I've seen the episode.
I would actually agree with you there. Even though I don't remember much about the episode, I do think the concept, and so probably the same towards the character. Yeah, I think there was potential in all of it.
He says they did make a small reference towards her in season 4. I mean, and that would make sense, considering they really did go back to the idea of focusing on past patients and stuff. So that would make sense. So thank you for reminding us, Marcelino. Nathan, in regards to Dominic Purcell's character, Heatwave, he says, for some reason, I thought he was fine as his character. Yeah, I didn't mind it. Marcelino says, Vecna says a line, it happened after number 6 escaped. Okay. So there you go.
Oh, cool. That went past me. That went over my head is what I meant to say.
What's his next question? I think he's got a third one, right?
Oh, right. Jaden from Power Rangers, as well as the rest of the series, was criticized for poor carbon copy of Shinkenger. However, something I noticed lately is that Jaden has received a lot more praise, with people calling as one of the best Rangers ever created. Wow, what? I haven't heard this. Saying that he had a great character arc of not wanting to being a part of the team and doing things on his on his own, I assume. Oh yeah, on his own, to valuing his teammates as equals. Some even go as far as to say he's a better Red Ranger than Lauren. But do you what do you make of this, and do you share similar feelings? Yeah, no, I definitely don't. I don't think any of the characters in Samurai stood out to me, except for, you know what? Okay, actually, I take that back. Bulk and Spike stood out to me, as they were the characters who had somewhat of an arc and actually had a personality. Jaden technically on paper had an arc, but the arc was driven by the show, like needing it to be driven, and not because it felt organic. Mostly because they kind of repeat the same thing between him and Decker twice. They try to do that, like, we must have our final battle now, and they do that twice, so it just doesn't have any meaning behind it. And then also I don't know, the build up to Jaden keeping this a secret from his team, and then his team not caring about it when they hear about it, and then him feeling so guilty about the secret that he leaves, also just was really dumb. Yeah.
Look, man, I do feel like there is an agenda on social media right now to rewrite history about Power Rangers Samurai. I feel like I've been seeing a lot of people really boasting and talking about this, and I'm like, look, y'all not about to fool me, all right? I watch this shit live, y'all. Like, I know what I watch. You're not about to make me change my mind on how bad or how great Samurai was. Like, don't try and fool me and rewrite history. Like, it's not gonna work here. So as far as like Jaden being one of the best Red Rangers, please take that to somebody else, man. I'm not even on board with that. As far as, was she a better Ranger than Lauren? I would say yes, absolutely. Because we barely saw Lauren. I mean, at least Jaden had some sort of level of build up and character moments in the show. So I definitely would agree in that regards that yes, he is a better Red Ranger than Lauren certainly was. But I'm not about to sit here and just take this best Red Ranger. No, not at all. Y'all can't fool me out there, social media. You can't.
I'm going to piss off a bunch of Power Rangers fans, because I know a lot of people love Lauren from Power Rangers Samurai, like saying that she was like the best part of that show, even though she only had 2 episodes. Here's my thing about Lauren. She had one job. She had one job. She got to, while the team was out there saving the world from every monster of the week, she had to practice one specific technique to lock away this evil. And when she finally had that opportunity, she failed. So,
you had one job to do.
You had one job.
Oh man.
And you had so much time to practice your one job.
Marcelino says they aren't trying to rewrite history. They say they're finally appreciating something that wasn't appreciated. I'm just being
That's
funny.
Fair.
I'm just being funny, man.
It's you know what? Again, I bring up how this happens all the time. It's the same thing, like with the Star Wars prequels, with Star Trek Enterprise, and with the Disney era of Power Rangers. You know?
Yeah, and we said this when we did our Phantom Menace thing, right? Is like when I first saw it, I didn't care for it as much, but over time, when you go back and you revisit things, I think you start to appreciate it a little bit more for certainly what it is. So I totally understand. I'm just being funny, Marcelino. That's all.
Yeah.
Doomsday says, out of the core 5 Rangers who returned for Super Sentai Strongest Battle, which one were you excited to see the most aside from Captain Marvelous?
I haven't seen this crossover event in particular, but the only one of the core 5 that I recognized besides Captain Marvelous was Stinger, so I'll go with Stinger.
Yeah, I think I was really fascinated to see more of Stinger because that was I didn't see that Super Sentai series. Outside of him, though, I think Kagura was from Tokugers, who I really wanted to see the most, to kind of see how she worked opposite of everybody else. And I think she has one of the better moments in that miniseries too, when she's taking on Doggy Kruger. So that was one of my favorite moments out of the season. So Stinger is probably the one that I was excited to see the most, and then second was going to be Kagura. In terms of acting, how would you rank our 6 Time Force Rangers from best to worst?
Okay. Oh God, you know what? I can't choose between Jason Font or Aaron Cahill, or is that how her name's pronounced, Cahill? Because they're both kind of amazing in their role. Okay, you know what? I'll give Jason number 1 on that, only because I feel like the writing gives him a little bit more to do, especially like towards the end than her. But that's only by like a hairline. Like, he wins. So yeah, him number 1, her number 2. I guess. I put oh God, sorry, I have to pull up the IMDb because I'm totally blanking on the actress's name. Kate, I would definitely put as number 3, the Yellow Ranger. Number 4, I would put Kevin, who played Trip. Number 5, I would put as the actor. Oh, Dan. Yeah, I would put Dan at number 5 as even though I love his character. Yeah, as Eric. Even though I thought Eric was a great character, especially in the beginning, some of his lines were a bit rough. Not gonna lie. He was pretty flat at times. And then, oh man, I hate to insult this guy because he actually seems like a really nice dude. And not that it didn't get better. It definitely got better by the end of the season, but I definitely think the weakest link had to be Michael, the Blue Ranger. He definitely had some of the weakest line deliveries, I think, especially like in the beginning. He did get better. He did get better by the end. I think Time Force had some of the best acting, like overall, like in the Power Rangers franchise. Like, some of the best actors were definitely in this season. So when I say he's the worst out of this team, he still did a pretty damn good job with what he was given.
I probably would switch my 1 and 2 with you, although I feel like it's close. I probably would put Aaron first as Jen, followed by Jason as Wesson here. After that, I probably will go with Katie also. Probably yeah, I guess Trip. Yeah, I would probably have the same order, except I would probably put Jen first and then Wes second. After that, I would agree with you. I think it's Katie, Trip, Eric, and then Lucas, played by Michael.
You know what I think would have put Aaron at number 1 for me? If in the first episode, if she and I guess also technically Jason Font, because even though it was a different character, if they were allowed to kiss, I think it was just such a weird scene when you have him proposing to her and then she replies in like a friend hug. So not even like kind of an embraceful hug. It's like she literally hugs him the same way I hug friends, So it's like, it was a weird, I don't know. It definitely didn't seem organic in that first episode, but I also don't blame her. I blame Saban for some reason being kissphobic.
Yeah, he really is kissphobic, isn't he? I feel like I've heard countless stories of like, yeah, we were supposed to kiss, and then it just never happened. Doomsday's last question. It could just be me based on how Samurai Rangers act when they're very low on symbol power. Doesn't it give off the impression that the symbol power is their life source? He said it could just be me, but based on how Samurai Rangers act when they're very low on symbol power, doesn't it give off the impression that the symbol power is their life force?
I don't know if I'd say life source. I would say more like their connection to the grid.
Mm,
It's kind of like how I take it. It's like what I always love about like Power Rangers with their power ups is like they have all their like really powerful techniques, but there's like the catch of using it too early. They drain their power, and so therefore they wasted their ultimate finish and that kind of stuff.
uh,
That's kind of how I always look at not just Samurai, but every season of Power Rangers.
Johnny, what's up, Johnny? He's got a couple questions. Could Power Rangers do a crossover comic with Transformers in the near future? Yes, absolutely. If they haven't done one yet, I would be surprised if they haven't done one yet. But
I'm looking that
somebody,
up now.
yeah, looking that up, I gotta imagine there's been a Power Rangers and Transformers crossover before. But I'm always open for another one. I'm really fascinated to check out this Godzilla and Power Rangers crossover. I've really liked a lot of the cover art. That's one that I might go back and try and see if I can read eventually. But I'm fascinated in the Godzilla Power Ranger crossover.
They have not done one yet.
I'm
Hasbro
surprised.
owns both IPs, so why
I'm,
haven't they?
yeah, I'm surprised. But yeah, give me that one next. Why don't you? Do you think Boom Studios could do a Power Rangers What If comic like Marvel does? Ooh,
I would love that.
I love that.
That is what I want to see from Boom Studios now that the original line is about to end.
Yeah, I would love that. Maybe that's a upcoming a project that they're working on. We are supposed to get some new Boom Studios Power Ranger announcements at San Diego Comic Con. Do you think we could get a live action TMNT sitcom from Nickelodeon and or Paramount Plus in the near future?
Pre Knuckles, I would have said no, but after seeing Knuckles, I think that's a good possibility.
Yeah, I feel like TMNT right now is on a high in regards to their franchise of them really exploring like new things that they could potentially do. I mean, we got the TMNT um, animated film. That's going to be turning into an animated series with Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then we're supposed to get more sequels of the animated stuff. Um, I can't remember if we've read that we have the live action Ronin that's coming to us from TMNT, a rated R live action TMNT film. As far as the live action TMNT sitcom, I guess it would really depend on. I can easily see that being a Paramount Plus series. I guess for me, it would just depend on like what their budget is going to be. But it would not surprise me if in like 2 to 3 years we hear it. So I would say, yeah, I do think there's a possibility. Blossom, hey Adam, I know I've asked this ages ago, but about my ideas I have for Power Rangers, I'm not driving y'all crazy with them, am I? I have a hyperactive imagination. Oh yeah, I totally get it. It's not no big deal. I just feel bad sometimes when I can't answer your questions or if my creative juices aren't flowing also to be able to give you good responses. But I like hearing how your ideas are coming together. Holy macaroni manoli. I still can't believe you guys think I got a shot in writing for Power Rangers. You guys kind of made me blush on that more than that, but yeah, well, hey, you know what? Give it a shot. Why not? Haven't you written a book before? Like, I think you like are literally a certified author, with some of your children's books. So, just keep developing your writing style, and you never know, man. At least you've written a book. There are plenty of people out here who have all these fantastic Power Rangers ideas and don't do anything with them. In regards to actually trying to become a writer or work for Hasbro in any capacity whatsoever. So, keep working on your creative abilities for sure.
The other thing too is if you have an idea, for a Power Rangers storyline, but it doesn't go anywhere because you can't like get a pitch meeting or anything like that, you could still use that idea too for just like make a couple of changes, take out Power Rangers, maybe replace it with something else. But like you can still like use those ideas for some of your own like stories if you really want to get your stories like out there to the public.
Peg C says, what were your thoughts on this episode special in Power Ranger Wild Force Forever Red that all 10 Rangers were fighting Beetleborgs?
It's like funny because I actually somehow I never ever had seen Beetleborgs, at least not until high school. I don't know how the show flew under my radar because I think Like, it was going on during Lost Galaxy, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know how I never heard of Beetleborgs until like high school. But so yeah, for me, I had no thoughts on it. I just thought it was Power Rangers fighting some really cool looking villains.
Yeah, I don't remember how I thought about it when I first saw it. It is kind of trippy looking back on it now, though. I have to rewatch that episode though. In season 2 of X-Men 97, do you think we'll get to see Juggernaut, Iceman, and Sabretooth, etc., make cameos? Um, well, not to spoil anything too much for Stuart, but we kind of have seen at least one of those briefly. I won't tell Stuart in like regards to like what the premise or the context of it is, but yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to see this team expanded upon in some way or another, even if it's just cameos. Sabretooth, I think, would be really, really cool to have in the second season, but I don't know the direction in which they're going for season 2 as of yet. But I'm here for all those, honestly.
Well, I'm not sure if this is what you're referring to, but I did see Morph like utilizing Sabretooth and Juggernaut at different points. But yes, I would love to see like the actual characters make a return to X-Men 97, especially the Juggernaut.
When Full House reboot Fuller House was first announced, what were your initial thoughts? I can't remember. I think I was pretty cool with it. I thought it was a pretty interesting premise to kind of continue. I feel like Fuller House is one of those shows, and was that like the beginning of like the reboot sequel sort of thing, like the sequel series to classic shows that we used to have. I don't know if that was like the first one that did it, but I thought they made it cool, at least during that time. But I can't remember, but I don't think I had a problem with it. I think it was pretty neat. I was a big fan of Full House growing up as a kid, so I think the only thing I was bummed about was some of the cast members certainly not being able to return. But other than that, I think I was pretty open-minded to it. But I can't recall, Stuart, was Fuller House like the first wave of like sequel series, I guess?
It was definitely in the beginning of that. I don't know if it was the first, but it was definitely around during that kind of, beginning of that wave. Yeah. As for my thoughts of when it came out, I watched Full House as a kid, but it was one of those sitcoms that I only watched because it would probably be on before another sitcom that I was actually looking forward to was about to start. So when the reboot came out, I wasn't super excited. I did watch the first episode of it, and I thought it was cute. It had its charm, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't know if it was for everybody.
Yeah.
And then last, that's a question from Sam. What's up, Sam? What if Dirk Gently is back on TV as a new reboot series or revival? Which actor will be great play as new Dirk Gently after Samuel Bennett? Who's that?
I don't know.
Dirk Bentley.
Yeah, I actually don't know this show.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
It's got Frodo in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where did it air on?
Netflix, it looks like.
Oh, Dirk Gently. Why did they give me this?
Dirk Gently's holistic detective agency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got Elijah Wood, and is that?
It's got some good ratings.
Oh, Samuel Bennett's the one that plays Dirk. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got no thoughts because I hadn't even heard of this show.
Yeah, I've never heard that show before, Sam. So sorry about that, man. And what do you think about Kamen Rider the Summer movie 2024, Gotchard and Boom Boomger? I haven't followed Gotchard, but I've been enjoying Boom Boomger for what it was. They just had a really great 2-part episode. It might have been episodes 8 and 9 that they're just coming off of. I think we just got to episode 10 last week, so we are, well, I guess technically this weekend, episode episode 11 probably dropped. I haven't had the opportunity to watch it yet, but I would be curious to see Boom Boomger in a summer movie. But yeah, I'm not familiar with Gotchard, but I know that they do this every year. It's almost like some sort of crossover event between Kamen Rider and Boom Boomger or Super Samurai recently. So yeah, it'll be interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kind of same thing. I haven't been keeping up with. I mean, you've been at least keeping up with Super Sentai. I haven't even been keeping up with that or Kamen Rider recently.
Yeah, I fell off the middle of like off of Don Brothers. I really want to go back and finish that series. I miss King Oger, despite me thinking they were like some of the most badass Super Sentai suits I've ever seen. So there is a part of me that kind of wants to explore that one also. And I just decided to come back to Super Sentai because it feels a little bit more classic again. Them getting out of the phase of using a lot of heavy CGI background sort of thing and just kind of getting back to the basics. But I've enjoyed Boom Boomger. I have heard some people, and I think we were very reactionary in the sense of like people boasting this as like some of their favorite Super Sentai series. And look, to each their own. But I don't hold Boom Boomger in that high regard as of yet. But it is still a series that I've thoroughly enjoyed so far.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, look, if you've heard of the Gotchard and Boom Boomger Kamen Rider summer movie, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. What do you guys think? But that will do it for all of our live viewer questions for today. And Marcelino says, I think it's also worth noting that a lot of these Samurai Defenders are fans who were introduced to Power Rangers through, and was their first season.
That's a good point.
That tends to be one of the reasons why people want to go to bat for it, especially if it's a season that they grew up on or were first sort of introduced to. It has a special place in their heart, just like Star Wars prequel fans, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And some people that I see a lot of defenders for the sequel series also for Star Wars these days.
Oh yeah, I mean, two of my managers at the theater I work at, the reason they love the Rise of Skywalker, it isn't necessarily because of the movie itself. It's because like for both of them, it's the first Star Wars movie they got to watch with their kid, and so that makes it like their favorite like Star Wars film, which is like, okay, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, everybody certainly has their own reasons for really enjoying these movies and television series. So yeah, not to take anything away from them. I mean, they certainly have their own opinions, but yeah, I'm just not a fan of samurai like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much, everybody.
Just watch us be like the toxic fans. If you like Power Rangers Samurai, you're not a real fan.
Yeah, I mean, like what you like. I don't necessarily have to agree with. Like yesterday, I was on Twitter and somebody made this comment about, because there's been news about the Phantom Menace being like the most watched Star Wars movie on Disney Plus. And some people are really taking that as like, see, this is why Phantom Menace is the best Star Wars movie ever. And somebody was posting about that. And, one, in my head, I was just thinking, bro, it's the 25th anniversary. Of course, everybody's watching this movie right now. Like, it makes sense based off of the timing. But there was a part of me that wanted to reply back to this person and be like, you must be crazy. Like, this is far. But then I started thinking to myself, like, Adam, now you're just becoming one of these Twitter heads, And I'm not about to step on your excitement level for Phantom Menace. Like, if you want to live your life thinking Phantom Menace is the greatest movie of all time, that's cool, man. Live your life. I'm glad that you like something about Star Wars. And I'm glad I didn't type out the tweet or anything like that, but I was thinking about replying or quote tweeting it and like crapping on the statement. And I just thought to myself, like, no, that's just Twitter brain getting a hold of me to just quickly react and respond to somebody and crap over something that they love. And in return, it's just like, that's their opinion, man. I don't have to agree with you. And just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I gotta shit all over your happiness. You know what I'm saying? And things that you enjoy. And I wish it was just a friendly reminder for myself to avoid moments like that is all.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the reasons I'm glad I left Twitter.
Yeah, you're saving your brain for sure, Stuart. You're saving your mental health for sure.
Definitely.
But guys, look, that's it for us here today at A Plus Hero Report. Thank you, everybody that certainly joined us. Again, if you're in the live chat, hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. After this airs, leave some comments if you want to further discuss some of the topics that we certainly talked about today. If anything, that really does help out the algorithm for the show. But Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Instagram, on Instagram at TurboStew01. My mic is in the way there, but yeah, it's right there. Yeah, so I'm not completely separated from social media, just not Twitter or Facebook. I technically have a Facebook, but you will never see me on there.
But if you guys want to follow us right here at A Plus Opinions, very active on social media. Our main hub is our YouTube page along with our Facebook page. Our Facebook page, we post news all throughout the week, posters, trailers, news articles, first looks, sneak peeks, featurettes, whatever the case that we can get our hands on. Then we usually take some of those topics to talk about here on A Plus Hero Report Live every Sunday for you guys. We're on TikTok at Hero Report. We also have a Discord forum community. If you like your forum setup, there's a link in the description box below. And we do have audio and video versions of this wherever you listen to your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Music. You can find us A Plus Hero Report. We got some other fresh content coming your guys' way this week. We got our finale for X-Men 97 we're going to be talking about. I'll probably have a couple, at least maybe one movie review for you guys this week. I might try and head out to the movies to check out Fall Guy this week. So expect a review on that. A Boon Boomger review for you guys this week also. And maybe some other content as well throughout the rest of the week. And but other than that, guys, that's gonna do it for us here. So
Really quick before we wrap it up, just you brought up Fall Guy, just something funny I had to bring up. So you get like the griftier side of YouTube, which is that side of YouTube that loves to like talk about how like Hollywood is broken, Hollywood is ruined and all that kind of stuff. And the main thing they always go to is, everyone's going woke, so they're going broke and nothing's original anymore. So now here comes Fall Guy, literally giving them everything they want. It is an original action movie with a white male lead as the main character, right? And this movie is still doing really badly at the box office. This is literally the movie you guys have been, and that's not the crap on the movie itself. That's not me like trying to say, oh, this movie's not woke, so it's bad. No, I think it looks like it's going to be a fun movie. I'm excited to watch it, but I'm just like trying to point that out there because it's like people are constantly demanding originality. People are demanding all these different things, and then when they get it, they don't go to watch it in theaters. And it's like, you wonder why we don't get more of these kind of movies, guys.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I say it all the time. Guys, look at the movies that are out right now. Okay, not every movie out there is a reboot or a sequel or built off of another franchise. There are original movies out there, but people do not see them, unfortunately. People just do not go out and see them. So I really hate the argument of, oh, Hollywood's just not original anymore. They are. But when nobody sees their movies, why would they want to make more original movies? This is why we have so many sequels and reboots of popular franchises. So look, if you are one of those people that say we need more original movies, you better be going to see these original movies that actually do come out. Support original films, ladies and gentlemen, which is one of the reasons why I'm going to go ahead and check out Fall Guy this week. So I've heard some mixed reviews in regards to it. I am a little bit bummed just because it was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Even my uncle, who's a big movie guy, he was like, it was okay. So I'm going to go ahead and certainly give it a shot myself, and definitely give you guys my review when I come back. But support original films, y'all. Really support original films. Go out and see those movies that nobody else is checking out, unfortunately. But I'm glad you brought that up, Stuart.
Yeah. Did you see Bullet Train by any chance?
Yes, I did see Bullet Train.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I just found out just now that it's the same director, so that actually gets me more excited to watch Fall Guy because I love Bullet Train.
Is that David Leitch?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, David Leitch. Yeah, so I'm excited to check out Fall Guy, and I love me some Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, so that wins me over immediately. But guys, that will do it for us here. We'll have more content for you guys the rest of the week. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and share and let everybody know about A Plus Hero Report. Until next week, guys, do me a big favor. Happy Mother's Day once again to all the ladies out there and moms. Until next time, Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.